What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets and Rob. How is everybody doing on this Tuesday, day after Labor Day? Many kids in New York go back to school today. So if you have kids, if you know people who have kids, school day started today in New York. So everybody have a good new school year. But we know why we're here, right, guys? Mets, Pirates, another live stream during a Mets game. Thank you guys for tuning in to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everybody is doing good. Hopefully everybody's ready to go, get back into the groove. We had our rain delay yesterday, a rain postponement. Some people said it wasn't raining much. I knew a couple of people that were in Pittsburgh saying it was raining for most of the day, but when it was supposed to happen, it wasn't really raining. But I think they kind of just didn't want to take a chance. And listen, with the way our pitching has been a little bit in shambles with guys who are coming back, I think like Carrasco too soon. You don't want to risk starting a starting pitcher, and then it starts to rain, and then you lose them, and now you got to use your bullpen insanely too much. And we don't need to do that right now. I think we need to be smart right out pitching, and I do think that considering the fact that we have a doubleheader tomorrow, let's just get this series over with and head on to bigger and better things for this Mets team. But it starts with today. This Mets team needs to be better. There is no more messing around. There's no more acting like you should just show up to a ballpark and thinking you're going to win because the Nationals are bad and the Mets are good. And that was the first time this year that I saw the Mets go into a series, and I went to every game during the National Series at Citi Field. It just seemed like they looked a little bit more confident, overconfident. And I know a lot of people didn't like the word that I used, that cocky, but that's the way I felt that they were acting like they were going to show up. The Mets jersey ran onto the field, and they were just going to beat the Nationals without even actually performing to the capabilities that they are performing to. And I think, to be honest with you, they might have needed a series like that to kick themselves in the asses a little bit to get going. And I don't think for a second you're going to see that in the Pittsburgh series and for the last 27 games of the year. It's just that simple. And I felt like they were just extremely confident after that Dodgers series. And going into the National Series, they look like they could just want to come in there and just don't do anything and just win. And that's the way it looked in the National Series. We could talk about the bullpen. We could talk about the starting pitching. We could talk about the offense. We could talk about the lineup. We could talk about everything we want to talk about. But the Mets need to do what they have to do. And if they play Mets baseball like we know they can in 2022, these games should be another win in the win column. It's just that simple. Merlin, how you doing? It's exactly what I want to see. I want to see crisp. I want to see smart baseball by this team. I don't want to see no more stupid base running. I don't want to see weird decisions by Buck Showalter putting in Adonis Medina with a one-run ball game on like he did on Saturday in this Pittsburgh series. There was a way around using your bullpen to keep it, or at least try their best to keep a one-run ball game. Ottavino has been extremely good this year, and he left the cookie up there. He left the slider hanging. It happens. So I know there's a couple of people complaining about the bullpen, but let's be honest. Lugo, since the Yankee series in the second half at Citi Field, he's been extremely good. Ottavino has been one of our best relievers all year. And you know what? He do one bad pitch. I'm not going to kill him after he was the one that basically got that ninth inning in the Dodger game. It's very simple. The Mets, the pitching is not the problem. The problem is the offense. This offense needs to hit Patrick Coleman. This offense needs to hit Fetty. They have to. They got to hit guys like who's pitching tonight. What the hell is his name? Who's pitching? Mitch Keller, who's pitching tonight for the Pirates. You got to hit these guys. You can't just wait around, sit around, and just act like you could just show up and win. I don't care if you have 85 wins. You know what? You have that mentality, and they're showing it on SNY right now. The Mets offense the last 12 games, they're 500, 227 average, 3 runs per game, and batting 173 with runners in scoring position for the average. That's not good at all. Not good at all. The Mets the entire season were averaging between 4.5 and 5.5 runs per game. They were batting around 250 on the season in total as a team. And runners in scoring position, they were at least close to 245, 250. So that has come down a lot. And look, we're 12 games. In the last 12 games, we're 500. Yet, we still find ourselves in first place because of the hits that we needed at the right time in the Dodgers series. They got it done. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. And as bad as we played in that Dodgers series, we still beat the Dodgers. So that just tells you how good this team is when they got their mind in the game. And I truly believe this. The first time this year I saw the Nationals, I'm going to a series against a team that they know they're better than, and basically just thought they had to show up and they were going to win. That's the problem. Yeah, and look, you know, I think when people talk about, the Mets got the easiest schedule, the Braves got the third easiest schedule in baseball. Yeah, but in September, it's very hard to say it's just an easy schedule because a lot of these teams that are out of it, that are bad teams, they're bringing up all their top prospects in them extra men that they're actually doing, that they're bringing up. They're bringing up their top prospects. So it's not just bad teams. These are guys that are wanting to show that can be in the big league. There's teams that just want to see what their prospects can do. They're still a bad team, just like the Pittsburgh Pirates are a bad team. But you know what? The Pirates 6 games against the Dodgers are 5-1. Doesn't There's no logical explanation for the Dodgers being 1-5 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's no logical explanation why the Mets lost the series to the Nationals. It happens, right? What if the Braves don't take the 2 games against Oakland and they split? I don't know. And I'm making sure everybody can hear me. I just want to make sure I got my earphones in right now, so I just want to make sure. Joe says mic sounds kind of weird. I think you guys can hear me. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Look, I already said it. With O'Neal Cruz, who's just a monster. He might be the second coming of Aaron Judge. He's dangerous. But they got a couple of guys on our team you have to worry about. You got a couple of guys you have to worry about. I sound like I'm underwater. I feel like I'm underwater. All right, so some people can hear me. Maybe it's Joe. It might be you. I don't know. Some people say they can hear me. Again, just let me know if you can hear me. If I sound underwater, if I sound not underwater, I don't know. Just make sure you can sound staticky. All right, give me a second, guys. Give me a second. All right, guys, can you hear me a little bit better now? Let me just make sure if you guys can hear me a little bit better. How we sound? All right, thank you, Delmar. A little staticky. All right. How about now? I'm using the laptop microphone for now. So let me make sure you guys can hear me a little bit better. The audio looks like it's all right. That's better. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's the gnats making a little bit of noise. I think anybody can just beat anybody. Look, it's Major League Baseball. In a 162 game season, bad teams are going to be good teams. It's just that simple. So I'm not going to say that. Oh, you know what? Watch out for the Nats, or watch out for the Pirates, or watch out for the Oakland A's. The A's played very well against the Yankees. So what does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? So it's not just about, there's no logical explanation why a bad team beats a good team, except that's just baseball. And that's why baseball is kind of really one of the sports where you can see any given day a bad team can beat a good team. It's just that simple. But at the end of the day, as poorly as the offense has been for the New York Mets over the last 12 games, as I just told you a few minutes ago, guess what?
The Mets are still in first place by a game. They still control their own destiny. If they take care of business, the Braves can't catch them, no matter how hot the Braves are. It's very simple. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Braves do catch us. It's not because of the Mets playing bad, because I think people need to stop saying this. And if you listen to ESPN and Buster Only, you're probably not a real baseball fan, because they never cover baseball unless it's a game on ESPN. They never cover baseball. Have you watched any of their morning shows? They never cover baseball. And listening to Buster Only talk about, the Braves catch the Mets. No, they haven't catch the Mets. How many times this year was it a half a game, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games? Every time it got to that point, the Mets found a way to make it 3 games again when it's 1 game. Or when it's a half a game, it's 4 games. They've done that all year. So until the Braves actually are a game up or a half a game up on the Mets in the NL East, they have not catch the Mets. They have not caught the Mets yet. And as good as the Braves have been, basically at a 750 win percentage, basically, they're still a game behind us. And the Mets, a collapse is the Mets playing 500 baseball or less over the stretch when the Braves were playing 750 ball. And that hasn't happened. The Mets are hovering around 550, 560 baseball since June 1st. Actually, a little bit better. It's closer to 600. So if you're playing 600 baseball from June 1st, when the Braves started to get hot, if the Braves would have never went on that 16 game winning streak, they would have never caught the Mets. And the Mets didn't play bad. They still went 1 game over 500 on that West Coast trip, and they continued to play extremely well the entire year. It's September, what the hell is today's date? 6th. And they're still in first place. They've been in first place the whole year. Again, that can change the last game of the season. It doesn't matter. But I think people forget the fact that if this stays as close as it's going to stay the rest of the year with this division, remember this, everyone. If the Mets go into the Atlanta Braves series, 2, 2.5, 1.5, whatever it is, if the Mets win one of those 3 games against the Braves, the Braves have to win the division by technically 2 games, because they can't tie the Mets because of the tiebreaker in the season series. So we have to remember that as well. So if the Mets continue to play this well and the Braves continue to play this well, and at the end of the year, the Mets take 1 game in the series against the Braves, and the Mets and Braves are tied at the end of the year, the Mets win the season series. So the Braves are still going to be a wild card team, and the Mets win the division. So I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. People are talking about, the great almighty Braves, which they have been really good this year. Excellent this year. But the Mets have been really good as well. And when it comes down to everything else the Mets got to do, if the Mets just play the way they played every time this entire year, when the June swoon was supposed to happen, that never happened. When, the Yankees are coming to town, it didn't happen. The Braves are coming to town with the Mets leading only 3 games in a 5-game series. The Mets took 4 out of 5. Only recently the Braves took a series against the Mets. So before everybody goes crazy, and every time the Braves actually had an opportunity to pass the Mets, they have not. Are the Braves good? I'd be stupid not to say they are. Are the Mets good? Some people have to be stupid if they don't want to admit that, because guess what? When the Braves win a division like last year, it took a Jacob deGrom injury and nothing else when it came to the Mets doing anything possible, because they weren't a really good team anyway, and we act like the Braves won 110 games last year when they only won 88. So before everybody goes crazy, this is the first year the Braves have been really, really, really good in a season. It just so happens the Mets are really, 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 really good as well. Because let's be honest, if any team would be somewhat mediocre or in this last 3 weeks, guess what? One of these teams would have ran away with the division already. It's just that both teams are really good. Both teams are projected to win between 100 and 105 games. And listen, it's similar to what the Giants and the Dodgers went through last year. Somebody's going to win 100 games and not win the division. Look, that's going to suck for any team that does not. But just because if the Braves win the wild card or the don't win the division or the Mets don't win the division, doesn't mean they can't win the World Series because they both can. Yeah, it takes an extra series to get it done, but both of these teams are good enough, extremely good enough, to win the pennant and head to the World Series and can actually win a World Series. Because in my opinion, I think, and I say this till this day, and maybe Brave fans would be happy I say this, I think it's going to come down to the Mets or the Braves. I do think somebody's going to pick whoever plays in that wild card series is going to get stuck in that bad bracket where you might have to face, you might have to face the Phillies in the wild card round, and then after that you have to face the Braves. The Dodgers in the wild card round. In the DS. I think it's going to lead to somebody knock off the Dodgers, either the Braves or the Mets, going to knock off the Dodgers, and it's going to come down to the NLCS. And I would not be shocked if it can be the Braves and the Mets in the NLCS, because I think no matter everybody wants to talk about the Dodgers, I think people make it extremely funny that just because the Dodgers are relying on people who have not done it before in big time games, in big time series. Yeah, Dick, I get that it's going to be harder for the wild cards to make it to the World Series, but we say that every year. Yet I know it's a different type of situation now because it's a 3-game series with the wild card, but it still gives the team an opportunity to have momentum going into an NLDS where a team has been resting for 5 days. And we've seen that many times. Like we've seen that when the Mets in 2015 swept the Cubs and they had to wait basically a week to play the Royals in the World Series. And clearly the Mets were flat and the Royals were going in with a lot of momentum after they just won their big ALCS. So it's not even the point of the wild card going to be a lot harder. Of course it's going to be. But at the same time, I think momentum in playoffs, especially in the Major League Baseball playoffs, is a huge thing. We saw it with the Braves last year. Like their momentum went from the mid to late September all the way into the playoffs. And I think that was a big deal for them. So I think Major League Baseball playoffs are all about momentum in a playoff series. I think it's extremely hard for a team that has been sitting around for 5 days. Yes, they can get their rotation in order. Yes, whoever has nagging injuries can rest those injuries. But you're going to be playing a team, even though you're going to be playing at home. That wildcard team that just won is going to have all the momentum in the world. Again, whoever's waiting in the NLDS or in the ALDS, in the DS, in the division series, waiting for you guys can be ready to go. But there's no guarantee of that. You're going to have pitchers, especially if you can set up your rotation. If the Mets somewhat run away with this division, or the Braves do, you can start setting up your rotation because the first wild card is kind of in the bag for both the Braves and the Mets, right? What if you have an 8.5 game lead, maybe 9, in the first wild card? So it's pretty sure that you're gonna have the number 1 wild card. You're gonna have home field advantage in that wild card for the 3 games. So it's not about. I don't think that it's gonna be harder. I think momentum is the key to everything in this playoffs because I can assure you that nobody thought the Washington Nationals were going to win the World Series in 2019. I don't think a lot of people thought the Braves were going to win the World Series last year. For everybody that talks about the NL East is garbage, 2 out of the last, do you really want to talk about the pandemic here? 2 out of the last 3 years, the NL East teams won the World Series. All right, we can leave the pandemic season out of this because I don't look at stats in 2020, and I don't look at awards. I don't look at championships in 2020, and I can assure you, and obviously you guys will never understand it, but I can assure you if the Mets would have won the World Series in 2020, look, fans are going to buy shirts, they're going to buy banners, they're going to buy this, they're going to buy that. Of course you can represent, you're a fan, you're going to buy that stuff. But if you give everybody truth serum, or Dodger fans, or the Rays if they would have won it, if you would have gave Dodger fans truth serum, they would have told you that they don't believe that that's a real world championship anyway. Even though any fan would be rocking the 2020 World Series champion shirt or jersey. But I don't look at it as that. So 2 out of the last 3 years, NL East teams won the World Series. And that's 2 teams that weren't even the favorites in the playoffs to get even out of the first round. Right? The Braves, they were hot, but everybody thought the Dodgers were going to beat them. People thought they were just going to win. And Dick, a championship is not a championship. I'm sorry. The 2020 season was an absolute joke. The same Dodger team that always choke in the playoffs every year. And, let's be honest, before 2020, they didn't win since 88. So it's not like they were winning championships after all these division titles that they had either. They always found a way to choke in the playoffs. And they done that as well. And again, I was, when people were killing me about Dominic Smith, who had one of the best years in baseball, statistically, I laughed in people's faces because I don't look at 2020 stats as anything to look at towards a player. And if I can't look at the stats, why am I going to look at awards and championships? Okay, but Barry Bonds is the home run king, but nobody actually sees him as that, right? People are going crazy about Aaron Judge, but he's not getting to Barry Bonds. He'll get to Roger Maris. So, in my opinion, 2020 is a joke of a season. You barely even play a half a season. We didn't even get to a half a season. We played 60 games. And let's be honest, if you really look at it, the Dodgers played in a Western division, right? They played Western teams. The only other team that was really good in the West was the Astros. Everybody else, right? Yeah, the Dodgers didn't cheat for that championship. But you know what? They were in a season that was only 60 games. And I don't care about if they, great. I wish the Mets would have cheated. Then we would have got a world championship. I don't care about cheating. You know what? People are mad, just like the Yankee fans that still say F. Altuve, because their Yankees couldn't cheat as well. Even though, let's be honest, they were actually caught cheating. They just didn't do it as well as the Astros, just like the Red Sox. I'm sorry. Listen, I don't care what anybody says, right? During the steroid era, everybody cheated, right? You cheat now, you cheat tomorrow, you cheat next week. I can assure you, no fan gives a shit. I don't care. I can assure you, if I find out this year the Mets win the World Series and then they cheated somehow, some way, oh well. Well, guess what? Maybe the Yankees should have cheated a little bit better because they were cheating just as much. They just weren't doing it as good as the Astros. That's it. I know the Yankees have cheated for a lot of championships. We could say the Yankees cheated in 2009 when A-Rod was freaking juicing his ass off. You can say that. That's it. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Everybody steals signs. Just because the Astros do it of a better way than everybody else, you think any fan base would have gave a damn if their team would have won a championship? I'm sorry. There's always – look, I don't think you're trying unless you're cheating. It's very simple. It's very simple. I just don't care. Listen, at this point, let guys use steroids. Let them use cameras at the end of the day because, listen, put it this way. I'd rather have everybody cheating because there's always going to be somebody better cheating in sports than you. So just because the Yankees didn't do a good job or the Dodgers didn't do better than the Astros, don't get mad at them because they did it better than everybody else. Like the Red Sox, the Yankees had watches with signs, right? Why wasn't nobody talking about that? You know why? Because God forbid Major League Baseball would actually talk badly about the New York Yankees, their pride and joy, right? Of course not. Listen, you don't think I want James McCann knowing what pitch is going to come so we can hit the damn ball for once? Look, at the end of the day, every team is trying to find an advantage. It's just that simple. And I'm sorry, just because the Astros found a way to elaborately do it better than everybody else, don't get mad at the fact that your team couldn't do it. I agree that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And look, I'm not saying it was a good thing for the Astros. All right, I don't look. I didn't like what the Astros did, but get over it. You know what? The Yankees didn't win that series against the Astros because they couldn't hit. It wasn't because they weren't pitching well, right? They couldn't hit in Houston. They couldn't hit at Yankee Stadium. All right, so before we get started, guys, the game's going to start in about 10 minutes, so let me get to the most important thing. Just give me a second. Alrighty. There we go. Let me just set up the game day for you guys. There we go. Alrighty, guys. So let's get this lineup going for the New York Mets. And a lot of people are going to like this lineup because we've been crushing the Mets lineup for a while now because of the terrible performance by Ruff and Vogelback. So with the Mets lineup against Mitch Keller, Brendan Nimmo leading off, playing center field, Starlin Marte batting second, playing right field, Francisco Lindor batting third, playing shortstop, Pete Alonso playing first base, cleaning up, Jeff McNeil, thank God, batting fifth, playing second base, Daniel Vogelback DH batting sixth, Mark Canha left field batting seventh, Eduardo Escobar third base batting eighth, and James McCann catching batting ninth. That is your lineup for your New York Mets against Mitch Keller, who has a 4.43 ERA. And now for the Pirates, we got the massive O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds. We got Castro DH, and we have Gamble right field cleaning up. We got Hayes third base batting fifth, Newman second base batting sixth, Suwinski left field batting seventh, Chavez first base batting eighth, and Delay catching batting ninth. That is your lineup for the Pittsburgh Pirates against Taijuan Walker, who in 7 starts has a little over a 6 ERA after the All-Star break. So Taijuan Walker got to get it going here. Got to pitch well against this Pittsburgh lineup. And the last time Taijuan Walker pitched in Pittsburgh, I was in Pittsburgh last year in 2021 when he couldn't find a plate, didn't know how to see if a ball was fouling out, throwing the ball away. He pitched absolutely terrible. And unfortunately, I was there for the Jacob Stallings Grand Slam walk-off. And the next day, you saw Taijuan Walker decided to forget how to pitch in a Major League Baseball game. But let's see what he can do today. He has a 7.94 career ERA in 3 starts versus the Pirates. Second among active pitchers, Matt Boyd, 8.84. So this is a big start for Taijuan Walker here. You know what? The pressure is on, ladies and gentlemen. The Mets got to get it done. You got to stop losing to these bad teams, get it done, and show that you are one of the best teams in baseball. Get it done, guys. Let's go. Mets, Pirates, coming up on SNY. As always, guys, make sure when I put the game on, put the audio on, let me know in the comments if you guys can hear it, because obviously that is the most important thing here, is to make sure you guys can hear it. Let me just see if game day looks nice and pretty for everybody on the screen. All right, it's looking good on my side. Hopefully it's good on your side. So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Let's get this stream out to more Mets fans, more baseball fans, and let's get it done and get back on our winning ways. All right, let's see. Let's see what else people are saying here. I love that 69 jersey. Yeah, that was the giveaway. What was it, in 2019 for, what was it, the 40th anniversary, the 50th anniversary. Thank you, Dick. Have a good day, buddy. I did go to the game on Saturday. I went to the game on Saturday. I went to the game on Friday. Got that nice gray polo that they gave out. It's actually really nice, though. Yeah, listen, the only thing the Mets got to do here, look, the Mets got to come out and jump on the teams early. Like, the Mets are successful when they put the ball in play, when they get on the board early, and when they work the pitch counts. The Mets have been going away from that a little bit. They've been swinging at a lot of early counts. They haven't been working the counts, letting pitchers stay in ball games that are not very good, i.e. Patrick Corbin and Fetty, guys that you just should dominate, and the Mets have not. And I just think that the Mets just have to go back to their winning ways, the way they've been winning baseball games all year, working the counts, fouling pitches off, getting the pitcher frustrated, got to score early in games. I think that was the biggest key of the last 2 games against the Nationals. We left a lot of men on base. We weren't getting the key hits. Excuse me. Weren't working the counts. Excuse me. And that's how the Mets have been successful and why the Mets are 85-50. and they've been like that all year. And I don't expect the Mets to just be a totally different team than they were the entire year. They played, 135 games this year? It's basically the entire season. It's very simple. Like, you can't say a team collapsed. You can't say a team is bad when they played 135 games, did 35 games over 500. Just because the Braves are just as good doesn't mean that the Mets are a bad team all of a sudden. They had a tough series. Guess what? You come to Pittsburgh, you kick their ass. The Braves are playing the Athletics for 2 games. You got to get it done. It's very simple. It's not very, it's not rocket scientist. It's not rocket science. Just play your baseball games, play the Mets the way they played all year, and you should be able to win. Bad teams make mistakes. You just have to take advantage of it. It's very simple. And a nice little Pittsburgh. I got to say, one of my favorite ballparks is PNC. The skyline, the obviously Three River Stadium, three bridges, Roberto Clemente Bridge to walk over to go to PNC Park. Really good. I don't know, President. Sometimes the Athletics can surprise you. Sometimes nobody thought the Yankees were going to lose any games against the Athletics. I know the Yankees aren't as good as the Mets and the Braves, but just saying, it happens. Like all you need is a bad start from a team. It happens. I think the Braves are going to win these 2-game series against the Athletics, but you never know. It is a long West Coast trip for the Braves. All right, it's the start of it, but if you look at the Braves schedule, they're on the West Coast now. They got to go to Oakland, Seattle, San Francisco, and then they come back to the East Coast for Philly, who is trying to make a playoff spot. So Seattle has been extremely good this year, and they're playing at home. They're playing extremely well at home. That's not going to be easy against the Braves. And I know the Giants haven't been the same team like last year, but they can beat the Dodgers. They can clearly beat the Braves as well. This West Coast trip in September, I never wanted the West Coast trip in September. It sucks. Nobody wants to play anywhere off this. You don't want to play. You can play in the middle of the country and the eastern part of the country. You don't want to go to the West Coast in September. It's not a lot of fun. And I believe it's a 9-game homestand, 10-game homestand. I'm sorry, road trip on the West Coast. That's not easy. So I kind of think that, yeah, it's not. Oh, and for Ken, Christian, and Michael, I am not going to Florida. I spoke to Ken already, emailed him. I am not going to Florida. I was supposed to go for the Marlins series. Unfortunately, I have to work. I was trying to get days that I put in kind of late, and it was more of the fact that it was given to me, but then a whole bunch of confusion, and I'm not going to kill my boss because he gives me all the vacation I ever want. So it was kind of on me for the most part, but I am not going to Miami for the weekend series. I'm not doing that anymore. The 9th to the 11th. Sorry about that. I apologize. I wanted to, but it happens, right? So the game's going to start just now. Let me just make sure everybody can hear it. When it comes back from commercial, I just want to make sure everybody can hear it, since the microphone will be through the laptop, and it sounded good the last time. So I just want to make sure everything is up to par. Let me just wait for the commercial to come back. So once again, guys, we got about 92 in the stream right now. Don't forget to please hit on that like button. Obviously, the goal is to get 100 likes before the 5th inning ends and 150 likes by the time the stream is over. So obviously, guys, it's up to you to make that happen, and I do appreciate you guys tuning in for us. So here we go. Mets, Pirates at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for Game 1 of the series. Let me make sure you guys can hear it, and let me know in the chat if you can hear the audio from SNY. Taiwan Walker is pitching.
That magic after an ultimately disappointing 6-4 homestand that saw them win 3 out of 4 from Colorado, 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers before losing 2 out of 3 to Washington over the weekend. And now they come to Pittsburgh for the first of 7 meetings in a short span against the last place Pirates. Pirates were just swept by Toronto over the weekend here in Pittsburgh. There's your Banco Mets starting the lineup. Same punch. Two guys making their Pittsburgh return. Starting
All right, good, guys. Let's go. Let's go, Mets. Let's get it done.
The season here before he was traded to the Mets this year. Eduardo Escobar has always enjoyed this as a stopping off point. Has some of the best numbers at PNC Park since it opened 21 years ago.
And there's Mitch Keller, the 26-year-old, 6'2", 220 pounds, from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Second-round pick in the 2014 draft.
Lion, that's all nice and dandy, but stats mean absolutely nothing until you play the game, right? Then why did the Braves don't have a better record than the Mets in their season series? It happens, you know. It's the way the game's played at that time. You know, the Braves have all those nice, pretty stats, but they still haven't been in first place all year. So I agree, Ella. We got to hit these pitches. Let's get it done. It's a very, very small crowd at Pittsburgh, which is not surprising. They're not a good team. The weather has been crappy in Pittsburgh, so you probably have. I see a lot of Met fans already in that view. They're showing Neil Cruz, who is a monster. All right, here we go. Brendan Nimmo leading off. Let's go.
Tallest shortstop in Major League history at 6'7". Will he remain a shortstop long term? Still in the hopper, but they're enjoying watching his range and his arm and his power in his early days in the big leagues here in Pittsburgh. Brandon Nimmo leads off against Mitch Keller. Brandon with 3 for 12 in the series against Washington. He takes Keller's first fastball for a strike, and we're underway. Brandon with a .352 on base percentage coming into the day. Marte and Lindor to follow. Might have been some off days in the offing yesterday. Had the Mets played their 12:35 Labor Day scheduled game. Probably Marte would have had a day off, Lindor might have DH'd, but with the unexpected day off, Buck goes right back to his regular lineup. As the curveball misses outside to Nimmo, and it's 2-1.
Well, we've got a lot of guys that have played, and that's particularly Alonso and Lindor, that have played every day, and this is the time of the one-game lead, even though
All right, sounds good, guys. Perfect.
the Mets are pretty much assured of a playoff spot.
All right, 3-1 Captain
They
Nimmo.
don't want to lose the division, and it's time to go to the whip.
Miller comes inside, falls behind 3-1. Buck has played his top 4 in the lineup: Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, and Alonso in that order, more often by far than any top 4 in baseball. And Nimmo takes a strike on the
Ooh, that's a low call. Looked like a strike, though.
Shane Linescarter calling balls and strikes tonight. Keller comes off
Shimmy, let's get it done.
10 strikeouts against Milwaukee his last time out. That was Tuesday in Milwaukee. And Nimmo hits one right back to the mound, and Keller plays that.
All right, 1 out.
He's got a good live arm, what I see so far. Gary, only thrown one breaking ball.
Lion, I did too.
Last year, made 23 starts at an ERA over 6. Nice hand for Starling Marte as he is introduced. Second time back.
I agree, Steve.
For Marte, visited last year as a Marlin. 953 games he played for the Pirates over an 8-year span. Takes the first fastball out of the strike zone for ball 1. Marte 10th in the National League and batting at .292.
Had a 2 for 12.
Once again, guys, the
top
the lineup for the Mets and the pitching matchups are on. Scrolling the bottom. If you missed it earlier, the Mets lineup and the pitching matchups is on the bottom scrolling.
And 2 RBIs.
The Mets scored 7 runs Friday night, and then they had a combined 2 runs and 10 hits Saturday and Sunday against the Nats. Marte fouls one back 1-2. And if you heard Steve's report in the pregame show, Eric Chavez was saying that for the first time all year, the at-bats looked a little bit tired over the weekend, so it probably worked in the Mets' favor to have a day off yesterday, unexpected though it might have been.
I think it was a much-needed off day for the everyday players.
Snyder misses away, and it's 2-2 to Marte with Francisco Lindor on deck. A very small gathering on hand for this game tonight. That's
no!
In the hand.
That's not good.
And so Marte will get a
That hit him in the hand.
The 13th time this year.
Hopefully he didn't break his hand.
And the 89th
Shit.
for the Mets as a team, which leads all of baseball. And that one stopped.
That's not good.
Fastball.
Ow, that's fingers.
On the knuckles on the top hand.
Probably better there than on the top of the hand, where there are so many more bones to break. Nonetheless,
Still
Shit.
don't want it on the knuckles. Oh, that could swell up.
took the assistant athletic trainer out to make sure that Starling can move his hand adequately and that it's not a break.
Checking the fingers right now, checking the bone.
Hand, grip strength.
He just said he's all right, so I think they're going to keep him in the game.
Okay,
Jesus Christ.
And Starling will go to first base.
All right, he's good. Whew. Jesus.
He thought it was going to be a happy homecoming.
All right, so we got a one out. Hits batsman. Salamonte just got hit. And Lindor is coming up.
Particularly vulnerable to the stolen base this year. He's given up 14 in 15 tries. Let's see whether Marte after getting
Well, you know what,
smacked on the hand,
Ken?
tries to
You
get
scored 10 runs, and it's a laugher. Retaliate. But then again, you don't want to put any fire in this series that you don't have to, and give him any type of edge for any reason.
Kirby being particularly gentle in.
All right, come on, Frankie. Let's go.
So now Lindor, who went just 1 for 12 in the series against Washington, and over the last 11 games is just 6 for 39, a 154 clip. Let's try to get off to a fast start with Marte at first and 1 out. And first pitch breaking ball, then a strike to Lindor.
Good curve right there, down and in.
Well, they did get swept against the Blue Jays at home, so
There's that last start for Keller, career high 10 strikeouts in Milwaukee. It was also a season high 105 pitches, and he's pitching on normal rest. Fly ball foul down the left field side.
all right, quick 2 strikes on Lindor.
He came up
13 pitches so far for Keller in the first inning.
Game started with a 1-5 record with an
Well,
ERA of
Jakey, you know what?
7.13.
Football season starts this weekend. A lot of people getting ready for Steeler football, so I'm not surprised.
11 and 23 starts with an ERA of 6.
DeGrom, well, it depends. Hold on 1 second. DeGrom is pitching. I don't know what game yet.
Well, after last year, when Keller struggled so mightily,
Let's see.
he went to one of those driveline type places to try to increase his velocity.
I'm checking it out now, Steve.
Trying to throw 100 miles an hour, but then he couldn't get anybody out.
It says to be determined, but Jacob DeGrom and Chris Bassett are going to be pitching tomorrow. It's just a matter of who's going to pitch. Game 1 or game 2.
He taught himself a sinker, and since then, things have been going much better for him.
Good eye.
Someone had to make a suggestion to him. He taught himself the sinker. Usually that's a suggestion of the pitching coach or a veteran that you run cross.
I mean, if you're a guy who's thrown 4-seamers all his life and you're 26 years old and you've reached a crossroads in your career, a lot of times in recent years, it was pitchers going the other way. Guys who would always throw sinkers who were encouraged to throw a 4-seamer. That's line.
That's a base hit. There you go.
The center field base hit. It's a pretty high liner to get it over the 6-7 Cruz.
First and second, 1 out for Pete Alonso.
And the Mets have 2 men on with 1 out.
Fastball, middle away above the belt.
Good start so far.
A little bit too much for the 6-7 shortstop.
He would have had to have been 7-7. It would have had to have been Manute Bowl playing shortstop.
Aaron, my boy from high school baseball, what's up? Pete on the first pitch. I'm not very happy about that. Money on the Mets. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Yeah, look, when Pirates made the playoffs, the wild card back, what was it, like 7, 8 years ago? That place is going nuts. But yeah, it's definitely a football and hockey town for sure.
Is this one? played a handful of games in 2019 and again last
Come on, Pete.
year.
I want to see Pete with good at bats here. You don't have to hit it over the wall, just good at bats. But I'll take it over the wall. Oh, that's a double play.
Chance for two. Hayes to second, and Newman on to first for the 5-4-3 double play.
Well, that ended the inning, and Pete has been struggling for about 2 weeks now. He needs to get it going here because he's basically the only power in this lineup, and that was just a bad at bat, swinging at the first pitch and ground into a double play, and it ends the top of the first. Mets did not score. They threatened a little bit with first and second and one out, but Pete did not get it done. Going to the bottom of the first, Mets, Pirates, no score. Pirates are coming up in the bottom half. So once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Mets versus Pirates live stream here on Talking Mets and Rob. Don't forget to please hit on that like button and continuing to check back and hang out with us. Mets fan, baseball fan, doesn't matter. It's always fun bringing talking baseball with you guys and either complaining or being happy about the Mets. That's always fun. Yeah, Pete's been struggling, guys. It's been very glaring. Probably since the Braves series in Atlanta, it's been that way, and that's been one of the problems why the Mets have been somewhat mediocre, I would say. I wouldn't say they're mediocre, but not playing to the capabilities for sure. He's been pretty bad. You know, he had that one home run to give us the lead in the homestand, but other than that, he hasn't been good. You know, he's on a hot streak right now. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it except you got to make him break out of it. He got the bats. You know, he got that day off yesterday with the rain delay, so the rain postponement, so that I guess helped. But we should see. Yeah, DeMarco. You know what? I don't know. The Nationals. I don't know. They've been playing better. It's hard to try to figure out how the Mets and the Cardinals can lose to a team like that, but it's baseball. You know, it happens. All right, guys, so bottom of the first, Mets did not score in the top of the first. Let's see if Taijuan Walker can pitch better as he hasn't in his 3 career starts in Pittsburgh. Over a 7 ERA pitching in PNC and pitching in Pittsburgh. So let's see what he can do. O'Neal Cruz is leading off. Got to be very careful with the first 3 guys in this lineup. They could be very dangerous. So let's see what Taijuan Walker can do here.
In fact, they're last in the National League in runs scored, but Taijuan Walker needs a good start tonight.
This will be the 4th start of Taijuan's career against the Pirates. He's 0-1 with a 7.94 earned run average, but that's ancient history. It's all about today.
Come on, Ty.
The numbers right there. He needs to have a big game come up big.
O'Neal Cruz takes low and in for ball 1. Cruz came up on the 20th of June. He's a low batting average, but he's hit home runs. He's hit balls incredibly hard, including the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era, 122 miles an hour. So he obviously has tremendous power. He's got great speed. And the question is how quickly he can refine those skills. He's 23 years old. And he hits one hard through.
And that's a leadoff base hit for Cruz. I agree, Lion. If anybody can beat you if you don't score runs.
111 miles an hour and has himself a leadoff hit.
Little tiny leg kick. Ball sinking away, not outside enough. Next time I'll get a closer look and see how close to the plate the young.
Yes, they do, DeMarco. Yes, they do. Hey, Joseph, how you doing?
Pretty good right there. 6 stolen bases on the year, caught 4 times.
He's going to be wary of Taijuan Walker, who has one of the best right-handed pickoff moves in baseball. He's picked off 4 this year and is essentially adept at beating the younger players. There's Brian Reynolds, the switch-hitting center fielder, and he takes a strike. Reynolds, 21 home runs, 48 runs driven in this year. Not quite having the same year he did last year when he was an all-star for the first time.
Really
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
long-legged O'Neal.
And
Nice
goes
pitch.
after splitter and misses, and it's 0-2.
There's very few people that have a head size over Pete. I think he's the only one.
Hey, Ruben, what's up, buddy?
Aaron Judge, of course.
Full shift against Reynolds now, 3 on the right side. Left field Line completely open on the infield. And then splitter down low, stop on McCann. Ball, 2 strikes. See the numbers last year. His OPS was around 900. It's been a pedestrian year this year for Reynolds.
Well, the RBIs aren't there here. 48 compared to 90 last year.
The 48 lead the team, which gives you an idea. Just right, Pirates have struggled. They have the lowest on base percentage of any team in the league, the second lowest slugging percentage, the second most strikeouts, and the third fewest walks. So it's been hard for them to put together a lot of offense this year. Reynolds has been their best piece. And he chops one on the right side. Who's going to get it? Lindor's going to have to go to first with it.
Couldn't be a double play. The shift kind of messed up that double play ball.
Would Lindor have been better off going back to the bag and letting McNeil take it? It's a tough thing to do in that shift. It winds up being a 6-3 putout for the first down.
So got one out.
Escobar
came over from third. Actually, he's playing in the shortstop position, so they could have. Would have been a close play at second, and he dove head first. I don't know why you'd want to dive head first, and that's what happened.
I think he got hit by his own helmet. Is what happened. Helmet hit him right in the mouth.
Yeah, I don't like the shifts in those situations. I never understood that. When it's a double play ball, I don't like the shifts at all. Yeah, I think it's pointless to do those type of shifts. You know, you got a third baseman on that side that doesn't turn a lot of double plays at all. And then you have your two best options that turn double plays in Lindor and McNeil, basically holding each other's hands in that shift.
Second base, and Lindor, whose momentum is going the other way, and if there's an option, would you prefer to have McNeil play it and try and get the force?
However, McNeil's behind Lindor, so that's another beat. Tick of the clock.
Yeah, that shift doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I'd rather have a double play with a runner on first and double play options. I'd rather just have that. Play double play depth normally. That's an easy double play there.
3 home runs in 3 games.
All right, Ty, let's go. One out, man on second.
For Castro, whose first 5 hits in the major leagues were all home runs. He spent a good portion of this season in the minors. He's made headlines for a kind of offbeat reason. If you remember, he was the guy who
Walker's leaving a lot of balls over the plate on the inside corner to these lefties. Little dangerous.
This was the play. Oh, and there went the phone. Yeah, is that your phone? Yeah, you're not supposed to have electronics on the field, and he got suspended for 1 game because of it. But Castro did some damage with his bat, not his phone, against Mets last year. Switch hitter batting left-handed, has a little power for both sides. And chops that splitter into the ground, 1-2.
Inebriated, what's up?
Question was the phone okay? Is that my phone? That's not my phone. No, don't put it back in the pocket. No. He won't be compounding the error. Third base coach doesn't want anything to do with it. You never know what you can say.
Come on, Ty. Nice pitch. Strike 3. 2 outs. Nice pitch. Split change looking like his best pitch so far. 2 outs. Striking out Castro.
So 2 out.
Say that this offensive ball club with the Pirates, coming into the game with a team batting.
That pitch started about a little belt high and dropped down to the ankles. Nasty pitch. Come on, Ty.
Where's Jesse Gonder? There's Ben Gamble, the right fielder. Where's Joe Christopher? Gamble, his 5th different major league team, originally drafted by the Yankees.
Should be a pop-up. Should end the inning. And it does. All right, so Taiwan Walker, after the leadoff hit by Cruz, gets out of it with a ground ball pop-up and a strikeout going to the top of the second, no score. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Talking Mets at Rob. Mets versus Pirates live stream right here on the channel. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their day. And mostly everybody is back to school now. If you got kids or no kids or a teacher, good luck. But we are back into coming to the end of summer, coming to the start of fall. School season, football season, postseason, division races, all across sports. Basketball starting soon. There's so many things. Hockey starting soon. Whole bunch of fun. This is like one of the best times of year, especially if your team or your baseball teams are in it in mid to late September, going into October, because you get football, you get basketball, you get hockey, and you get postseason baseball. So it's a lot of fun. So let's hope everybody enjoys it. This last weekend, Labor Day weekend, was the last weekend without football. So if you are a football fan, it's going to be a lot of fun for week one. I'm not sure about my Cowboys and their offensive line, but hey, what are you going to do? And you're back to school tomorrow? All right, so that's all good. Yeah, Ken, what was your first day of school? You were going to, what did you went to, your backyard, your porch? A beer. The Braves are playing Oakland tonight. Yes. Giants fan. Well, I'm unfortunately a Cowboys fan. So my left tackle decided to hurt himself once again, and who the hell knows with that team. So, but you know what? Football is always a great time for betting. If you bet, be careful if you do. And football's just fun. I was watching a lot of college football this weekend, so it's a lot of fun. You don't like your classmates. Well, I think you have a lot of them. I don't think the Giants win the division. I think Daniel Jones is garbage, honestly. But that's okay. To is their own. I think the Eagles are going to win the division, to be honest. All right, so Jeff McNeil's leading off the top of the second. Let's see if the Mets can get some runs. They threatened with first and second with one out, but didn't get it done. Let's see if they can do something in the second.
8 points behind Paul Goldschmidt for the National League batting league. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike from Mitch Keller.
I don't know if Grant's in the chat right now, but Grant, I'm checking your shipment of the package. For some reason, it's in Missouri right now. I'm not sure why. It's still in Missouri, but that's what I get for shipping it postal service. So, sorry about that. I mailed it 4 days ago, and it's stuck in Missouri. It's been there for like 2 days for whatever reason, and McNeil pops it up. One out. Oh, well, DeMarco, yeah, I know a lot of people, especially down south, started a lot earlier than that. Well, Ellie, you should win that division with the Bills. You are the favorite to win the Super Bowl, but we know how that goes with the Bills, so we'll see. All right, Daniel Vogelbach. We need to see him get started a little bit. Yeah, they did pick up Peters, yes. Really need to see Vogelbach get going here. I just want to see him put the bat on the ball. He hasn't done that a lot. Been striking out a lot more.
Full shift on against Daniel with second baseman Newman playing well out to right field.
Joe, 17-0 for the Jets. Joe Flacco's going to lead the way, right? Well, I put money on the Eagles to win the division. I know that kind of hurts my Cowboys, but oh, I thought the lights went out in Pittsburgh, but it was the camera. That was weird. Debo that like button. There you go. Come on, Vogie. Once again, guys, top of the second. Mets, Pirates, no score. Thank you for tuning in to the channel for this live stream. Don't forget to please hit on that like button if you haven't already. Well, there you go. That's a good at-bat. I think Vogelbach should steal second. Make sure he's healthy.
Scherzer if he had to take himself out of that last start.
You know what's interesting? We talked about
So let's see. I need a Jeff McNeil hit, Marte hit, Nimmo hit, Alonso home run to get my parlay. It's a lot.
Discomfort. I mean, they're going to prepare on the side of caution.
I already got the Rays winning
But I wonder what they would
money
do,
line, so that's a good start.
35 years ago, where second place you went home, and then you had your one-game lead.
I think Vogie's got to steal second. Got to see if he's healthy. Let's go.
And that would be a much more.
And he should dive head first into second as well. Really know he's okay. That's all right. Canada's going to hit one in the gap, and Vogie's got to go first to home.
I mean, they've got a lot of flexibility this week with the rain out yesterday and
Come on, Mark.
Thursday. Scherzer's scheduled day to pitch is Friday, but you can push that back. They could skip an entire turn, and it wouldn't really harm anything. Fastball
2 pitches right down the middle by Canada. Well, you know what, Shimmy? You know what it is? Especially with football, it's because football was always like a national game, and you always get to watch a lot of different teams. And, a lot of people grew up, when I grew up in the 90s, when the Cowboys were the team to watch. My dad, even though he's a Jet fan, let me just wait for the pitch. My dad, he's a Jet fan. A couple of people in my family are Giant fans. My mom was a Bears fan. Like, her favorite player was the refrigerator. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, why is there so many Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Because they were good in the 70s. And, the steel curtain and all that stuff, they were just good. That's why a lot of people flock to teams like that. That's why there's a lot of Colts fans as well. And Canna strikes out. Wow, that was quick. That was a terrible at-bat by Mark Canna.
Upstairs fastball. Ran the letters. Foul tipped.
Ralph, you know what? If Tua can actually throw a ball downfield, I think they could be dangerous because I think a lot of teams are going to play zone, and it's going to be hard for them to get them short passes down. You're going to have to throw it over the zone to make big plays there. If not, I think the Dolphins are going to be in trouble.
And even particularly at this ball.
That would be interesting. That would be nice, Mets.
Lifetime against Pittsburgh.
There you go, Gary. They're not rolling over the back.
That's how it should be, right? Correct. They must have been listening to
Come on,
the
Eddie.
broadcast the other night.
I think there was a lot of good signs in the homestand with Eduardo Escobar. Showed a little bit of life, showed a little bit of power. If Escobar can start going, that's going to help the bottom of this lineup.
Against the Pirates, the highest of the modern era. That's how much damage Escobar has done against Pittsburgh. And he takes the curveball off the plate from Keller. 2-0. It's Keller, 26 years old, grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where they have a minor league team. And he got to watch 18
Let's go Mets chance in Pittsburgh.
play as an A-ball.
There's definitely a lot more Mets fans than Pirates fans there.
That was the Midwest League, and it was a low classification of A-ball.
JR, thank you, buddy. I'm glad you guys can tune in. That's the most important thing. I'll be here, but if you guys ain't here, it's not really a channel, right? So it's about you guys. Thank you, though.
Chain. Needless to say, Trout didn't stay in Cedar Rapids for long. Curveball foul played 2-2. Meanwhile, like it stung Escobar.
Got him in the knee. Looks like we'll see. It hurts. Pretty good breaking ball. Yeah, I got the top of the back knee.
Ouch, that hurt.
It looks like not on the kneecap, just above, so it's more muscular. Let's see. It still hurts.
Well, in the first 2 innings, we've had concern about starting Marte, who got hit on the hand by a pitch. And now Escobar fouled it.
So Escobar fouled it off his knee.
So right back it. It's out to see.
The Braves right now are beginning a road trip on the West Coast. They've got 2 against the A's, and they go up to Seattle for 3, and then they come back down and play 3 with San Francisco, while the Mets are on the East Coast. They can tack up a win. Braves come to the
All right, Eddie, let's go.
see a Met win up there because they're going to start 3 hours later.
Escobar cracks one the other way. Sawicki's not going to get
Oh, he's not going to get there? All right.
Back left to pull in at
Vogie couldn't go first to third on that.
Escobar slips back into first.
Well, we got first and second, 2 outs.
It's the Pirates, so he gets a hit.
He continues to hit. Had 2 home runs in the series against the Nats, back-to-back home runs. Had a 3-for-7 series against the Nats with 2 home runs and 4 RBI. And boy, they need that. If he could pick it up this last month, that would be wonderful for the Mets.
Let's go. All right, James. James have hit a lot of balls in that homestand very hard. Just a lot at people. So let's see if he can continue hitting that ball hard. Just hope it's not where anybody's playing. Come on, James. First and second, 2 outs in the top of the second, no score. And swinging at that slider like you never saw one before. Love it. Come on, James. Jesus. That might be trouble. No, it's not. 3 outs. God damn it. And once again, the Mets have first and second in the first 2 innings and did not get it done offensively once again. Bottom of the order has been putrid, but Vogelback with the walk, Escobar with the base hit, McCann doing nothing as always. It's a struggle right now. It's absolutely amazing. It's extremely hard. And you know what? Escobar has been hitting better. But you know what? He can't do everything. McCann's got to get a few hits here and there. I mean, God. It's not nice. It's not looking good. It's like they just been struggling. If it's not the top of the order, which you expect the top of the order every now and then to struggle a little bit, but the bottom of the order just struggles all year, and it's a problem. It's continuing to be a problem. And again, I said this, and if you guys followed me, my channel, when we signed James McCann, I thought it was a terrible signing. The Mets and Sandy Alderson looked at the pandemic year and looked at James McCann's stats when you faced a lot of the same teams, right? All they faced was central teams when McCann was with the White Sox. So you saw a lot of the same pitchers. I think a lot of players, including Dominic Smith, when you see the same pitchers over and over and over again, you're probably going to take advantage of them. And I think that's what James McCann did. He was a guy who was a backup catcher that had to start because Grandal got hurt during the 60-game season. And it was just, that's the way it was. And even in 2019, he wasn't that good. And what is more shocking is not the average of James McCann. It's the lack of power. He had some power when he was with the White Sox. It's completely gone. It makes no sense. Now, my biggest problem is everybody's like, oh, but James McCann's a great defensive catcher. So why are you giving $10 million to a great defensive catcher? If that was the case, Maldonado was available the same time James McCann was available. Why didn't you just sign him if you were only concerned about defense? So Starlin Marte just came out of the game, just probably precautionary. Tyler Naquin is in right field now. So our number 2 hitter is Tyler Naquin. So that hurts the top of the lineup now.
He got hit on the knuckles, and that's not a good thing. So you want to make sure you get ice on that.
Okay, Brian Hayes leads off for the Pirates as we go to the bottom of the second. Pirate third baseman. And it's been a whiz with the
so Starlin Marte is out of the game after getting hit by a pitch on the hand.
6 home runs this year.
The fingers were swelling, so you want to put ice on that. Let's hope nothing's broken, but we will see.
Big league third baseman Charlie Hayes.
Tyler Naquin is in right field now for Marte.
First of the Yankees 4 World Series championships in 5 years. Let's go our little son to deal with. As Hayes chops one foul on the splitter, and it's 1-2. Kevin Newman on deck.
Okay, too. I wouldn't say it was just that. It's just that, he had a pandemic year, just like Dominic Smith had a pandemic year. And too many people looked at those stats. And look, James McCann got a nice contract because of a pandemic year. It's a problem. This guy was never going to be a 260 hitter. Like, I just don't know where people saw that, or at least the front office did. It's amazing to me, but
hey, have we ever done the defense for the Mets?
Oh, I totally forgot. Lexus Met defense. McCann behind the plate. And they're going to the horses right now. This has been the everyday lineup, except for Nate Quinn now, which has been shifted in there, but it was originally a Starlin.
Wow, how you doing?
Hit on the hand.
Come on, Ty.
With the whole going to the horses this time of year is that they've really been playing the horses every day for months.
Yes.
Broken back Ryder Walker has to retrieve it as the bat went sailing.
All right, 1 out. The bat almost nailed Taiwan Walker, a broken bat.
Really good fielder for a big man.
Well, he's very athletic out there. Just saws him off with a fastball. Might have been a splitter.
Sean, they've been breathing down on next all year, but you still haven't taken over first place. Until you do, there ain't nothing to talk about.
So 1 out, and now Kevin Newman, and hopefully this doesn't bring back flashbacks for Taiwan.
Yeah, I
Kevin
remember
Newman
that.
at the plate. Last year, Taiwan was an all-star the first half of the season. His second half began in Pittsburgh, and it began with one of the most bizarre plays ever. It was the first inning. It was already down 3-0. The Pirates had the bases loaded, and Kevin Newman hit a ball about 20 feet up the third baseline in foul territory. Walker went over to try and knock it into foul territory to make sure that it wouldn't be a problem. Problem was, though, before he knocked it into foul territory, it had crept back onto the chalk. And so when he knocked it away, it was a fair ball. And 3 runs came around to score. And Walker was out of the game inside of an inning, having allowed 6 runs.
I have no problem with you guys rooting for your Braves. That's fine. But don't say we've been breathing down your necks. Yeah, you've been breathing down on Nick since April 3rd. And you still don't have first place. So it's like, it happens, man. It is what it is at this point. Brown ball should be an out. Let's see Escobar with his nice. Oh, well, that was not an easy play for Escobar.
Getting whacked in the knee, forced to go back there and plant quickly. But Newman beats it out for an infield hit.
Played the long hop here. You got to plant and throw. Oh, and his back foot slipped. If you notice on the plant. And that's why he had nothing on the throw.
Yep, he was safe. Yeah, his back foot slipped. That wet dirt. You seen it. As soon as he's about to plant his foot, it slipped.
The second Pittsburgh hit. It comes with 1 out of the second.
Another one of those.
No, it wasn't an easy play at all. It was a top spin ball, too, so it kind of got on him quickly.
Rookie from Chicago, who's got 14 home runs this year. Walker crowds with a fastball. It's a strike, 0-1.
I don't know if the marker was around the 4.5, but still. You know, the Fetty had a 5 ERA, Corbin had a 4 ERA, 5 ERA, so it's just the Mets are not hitting. It's just that simple. And the shift. There goes the shift.
And the Pirates have runners at the corners with 1 out. The Mets have the shift on against Sawinski.
I don't understand it. Once again, a guy on first, double play depth. They shift the middle infielders. It makes no sense. That's a double play ball right there. I don't get it. Look where they're playing. I just don't get it. It's a double play ball. I'm telling you, everybody who says the shift takes away a lot of hits, it gives a lot of hits as well. I'm just saying. Like, that's a double play ball to the second baseman again. I don't get it.
Jerry. So first and third and 1 out. Now the number 8 hitter, Michael Chavis.
Well, just because Haney was pitching good for the Dodgers, he's always Andrew Haney. So I agree, Ken. I never understood where there's a guy on first, you have a double play opportunity. Why shift the infield? It makes no sense to me.
That's a 2 solid defensive.
No sense.
This is not an easy play. Well done.
Come on, Ty. Nothing Taiwan Walker can do to you. He got the ground ball he needed. And, you know, that's another thing about the infield shift. You know you got a ground ball pitcher on the mound in Walker. Why are you shifting so drastically when you don't need to? You play double play depth, and it would be over. The inning would be over.
Signals to the infield. Sawinski, not a base stealer at first. He's got just 2 this year. Chavis at the plate, a guy who doesn't walk much, strikes out a lot. Red Sox first-round draft pick traded to the Pirates last summer to deal for relief pitcher Austin Davis. Walker needing a double play ball and checked it on.
Oh, that was close.
Got back in. Well, that's this year. It's a little skewed because he had that one horrible start against the Braves where he gave up 8 runs in 1 inning. In the 4 starts since, his ERA is under 3.5. Still, after last year, in which he had 2 such stark experiences, all-star in the first half, winless in the second half, that's really neat for Taiwan to have an excellent September. Two and 1 to Chavis. And he flies one out to right
Should be
center.
a sac
Should
fly.
Be enough to get the run home. Newman
We'll see.
in third. Nimmo makes the catch. Newman scoops on in.
Oof.
And the run scores.
All right, so it's 1-0 Pittsburgh on a sac fly, 2 outs. Luckily, the runner didn't go to second. That was not a great throw by Nimmo. Should have been to the cutoff man, but the runner did not advance to second.
It's not supposed to be. That is not the door back.
That was Walker. Walker should have been behind the plate.
Well, but he figured if it's a sacrifice fly, then Nimmo's going to throw to second base.
Chopper near the bag, McNeil.
And this time they didn't play the shift. How about that? And they got the grounder in the end. All right, so the Pirates score the first run of the ball game in the bottom of the second, 1-0 Pirates. Mets are coming up. The Mets will have a 1-2 treat. 1-2 treat. 1-2 treat. So there you go. Don't forget, guys, we got about how many people in the stream right now? 160 in the stream right now. So let's get 100 likes before the 15 inning ends and 150 by the time the stream ends and the game ends. So let's hope the Mets can get some runs here and actually look like a baseball team. And there should have been 2 double plays in this game already if it wasn't for the unnecessary shift when there's a guy on first. I just never understand that. There was confusion on the first possible double play ball, and the second one was just it got through the hole because they weren't playing double play, regular double play depth. They were playing a shift. That's right. 1-2 tree. 1-2 tree. Can you imagine being in first place for 85% of the season? Well, you know what? It was like that with the Dodgers, right? They were in first place the majority of the year, and then the Giants took over the last week of the season. It happens. You know, when you got 2 excellent teams in the division, somebody's going to lose the division. It's just very simple. Don't worry, guys. Nate Quinn's batting second now. We should be okay. Show some faith in our trade deadline acquisitions. Yes. Even though I'm not. Ella, does it look like Vientos is getting called up? Is that what you're hearing on Twitter? Is that the Twitter mill? That's what's going on here? Or is that just what you think? Let's see. All right, so top of the third, Mets need to score some runs here.
It was. Home plate umpire Kerwin Danley correctly said it was a fair ball. Walker never ran after it, and 3 runs came around to score before he finally picked up the ball. And Luis Rojas, then the Mets manager, went into a tizzy, feeling as though the umpires had blown the call, but they had not. Just a big mistake by Walker.
Come on, Brandon.
So the Mets down to run as they come to bat in the third.
Well, they did, KTU. They moved up McNeil in the 5th spot, moved Vogel back. There's not much you can do with this lineup, especially the top four.
Francisco Lindor for the Mets in the third. Gimlin chops from on the right side.
Oh, look, there's no shift. And he hits him right to the second baseman. How about that? One out.
And Gary, I just need to say that's the first and only time we're going to show that play from Taijuan Walker, only because I'm a man of my word. Taijuan has a great sense of humor, and he called me over to his locker after the game on Sunday against DC. And he said, hey, listen, I know you have to show that play just one time. One time, and we move on. Not a bunch of times, one time. So put the good word for me. So I put in that good word. You saw it, and now it's over.
So let me ask you a question. Is it one time this season or next year if Taijuan pitches here in Pittsburgh again, or are we entitled to show it again?
You know, we're going to have to negotiate that a little bit.
Okay. All right, Tyler Naquin is obviously in for Marte after getting hit by the pitch on the hand.
This season, and it's over.
It could be a precautionary taking him out just to put some ice on it so it doesn't swell. And hopefully he'll probably get an MRI just to check. And Naquin got a base hit. There we go. Good start. All right, good start. We're one out. There we go. Must be that 2 spot that gets people going.
So I think you're probably clear.
Sit. Mets offense is hot.
Steve, I think you got a
I mean, honestly, guys, the Mets have 2 hits. How about that?
That's why they keep me around, Keith. You know that.
Well, we knew there was a reason.
All right, Frankie, come on.
Did we know there was a reason?
We just didn't know why.
Yeah, we're going to have to shuttle you to all the hot spots around the world.
Be like Henry Kissinger and Philip Habib, the whole world for one.
Very good politically.
Francisco Lindor bounces one foul. Lindor will pull it over the shortstop's head for a base hit in the first. Mets left 2 men out of the first, or they had 2 men out of the first, got a double play ball. And then they had 2 men out of the second. They've got a 1-out single from Naquin in the third. For Naquin, that snapped an 0-for-8 stretch. That's facing Mitch Keller for the first time in his major league career. In fact, only Marte had any at-bats against him in the starting lineup
Good eye.
when we began. Naquin actually.
Well, I need a couple of hits from some guys now. Marte's out of the game, so my parlay is probably screwed now. Because Marte obviously didn't get a hit. He got hit, but he didn't get a hit. So my parlay is screwed now. So there goes $10. That could have won me $1,000, but unfortunately that didn't happen. That kind of sucks.
3 and 4 hitters all year long. Alonso and Lindor were both top 3, top 4 in the league in RBIs. Lindor is now down to 9th in the league. Alonso was 2nd. Lindor just 2 RBIs in his last 11 games. And he just 4 RBIs in his last 15 games.
Come on, Frankie, let's go.
Not been there.
Good eye.
Good slider misses, and it's 3-1 to Lindor.
Well, it's been a collective effort.
I wouldn't say the Braves are in the Mets' heads at all. The Mets are just struggling. It has nothing to do with the Braves at all.
Struggle with men in scoring position, and like Buck says, it's ebbs and flows, but this is not the time to have an ebb.
3-1 to Lindor with Alonso on deck. And he smashed foul 3-2. Steve?
Well, guys, just to back up what you were saying, I mean, look at the difference between this team, the first 123 games a year, and specifically Alonso and Lindor with runners in scoring position versus these last 12. 3rd in Major League Baseball for most of the season. So this team's been remarkably consistent, but these last 12 games, that number has dipped dramatically, and specifically, again, to your point, Gary, Alonso and Lindor, even when they weren't
All 4. All right. First and second, 1 out. Come on, Pete. Let's go.
At all points during the season, but over these last 12 games, just 111 with runners in scoring position. First 123 games combined, 306 between those two.
Alonso will now have a chance as Lindor walks. They were just running on a 3-2 pitch. So for the 3rd straight inning, the Mets have 2 men on against Keller. Alonso had the same opportunity in the first inning and grounded into a double play on a sinker for Keller.
Got a 3-2 count on Lindor with
Come on, Pete, let's go.
Behind Lindor, you throw a 3-2 slider, young.
Pete needs to go the opposite way here. He's got to stop pulling off on those pitches.
He's never put it together, and you're asking him to throw a 3-2 slider.
He's also working with a rookie catcher, Keith, who does not have much big league experience at all.
Ooh.
First pitch slider in
That seems somewhat low there, but they got the call. End the lockout, Joe. Sorry, I forgot to say that earlier.
3-1, 2-0, 3-2 secondary pitches. Complete sea change. And that's great if you can do it.
That's another double
Oh,
play.
my God. 2 in a
Cruz
row.
and Newman turned the double play in the second
Wow.
one against Alonso.
Once again, he pulled off on that outside corner pitch. Once again, that slider on the outside corner. Mets do not score once again. 3 innings in a row, first and second, and did not get a run in. 2 double play balls by Pete Alonso, both of them on sliders on the outside corner. Again, he was, like I just said, he's pulling off on that slider. If he takes that ball the other way, he might bloop it in right field for a hit. But that's what happens when your big boy is struggling. Lindor has looked a little bit better at the plate. Alonso has not. Tough. It's been a couple of weeks now that Pete Alonso has been extremely bad. And you got to continue to think, does he need a mental day off while there's a game playing? Not because there was a postponement yesterday that he gets a day off, but an actual day where he sits in the dugout, there's a game going on, and he doesn't play at all. I'm just curious. Maybe he just needs a full mental day while there's a game going on. Sometimes a regular postponed day is not really a day off, right? It was an unexpected day off, but I'm talking about going into the game, knowing there's a game, looking at the lineup, knowing your name's not in the lineup, sitting there just mentally clear your mind and then get back at it the next day. I think he needs that, to be honest with you. The problem is the Mets haven't been playing as good, so you need your big boppers in the lineup. I thought after that Dodgers series, you're going to see Pete Alonso sit or Lindor sit a game in that National Series, but, it didn't matter if they sat him or not. We lost 2 out of 3. So, yeah, the thing is, what he was doing during this cold streak is that he's swinging at a lot of those sliders that he had a problem with last year and that he struggled with. And in the first half of the year, or at least the first 100 games of the year, he was laying off those pitches. And when you see Pete struggle, exactly what his problem is, he's been doing. That slider on the outside corner, when he's going well, he'll take it the other way. He's been pulling off on that, which took 2 double plays already. So 1-0 Pittsburgh, bottom of the third, Cruz leading off.
Cruz and base hit to right field to lead off the first inning. 1 of 3 hits against Walker over the first 2. Reynolds and Castro to follow for Pittsburgh.
And he popped up Cruz, who is going to get there. It looks like it's going to be Nimmo. 1 out.
Well, here's the double play that Pete's
Yeah, 6 base runners left on base already.
It's pretty clear right now. Watch where the contact is. The end of the bat.
And that was a hanger, by the way.
Reaching out over the plate.
He was reaching. He was not staying back, and that was the problem.
When Pete is on, he crushes that pitch and lets that ball get deeper, and therefore more barrel of the bat. But he's just been out in front, and this is one of these periods he's going.
You're not sending Alonso down. You're not.
So he's grounded in double plays in each of his first 2 at-bats tonight. It's the first time this year that Pete has grounded into 2 double plays in 1 game. The first pitch curveball by Walker. This is to Brian Reynolds, 1-0. He's now grounded into 16 double plays this year, which is second on the team behind Starling Marte.
Come on, Ty.
18. Reynolds takes cutter just off the plate, 2-0. Reynolds with the runner going in the
Look, just because if you bring up Mark Vientos, doesn't mean it's going to change the lineup, guys. Alonso will probably still come up in a big spot. He has to get it done. It's very simple. You always know big spots find guys who are in slumps. It's just a matter of when they're going to break out of it. Butterscotch, we still got a month until the playoffs. Just because the offense is bad now doesn't mean they're not going to be ready to go on October 6th. Roberto, I don't think sit him down for 2 games. 1 game, while he just sits down and watches the game, then he needs to do that.
Castro takes inside, and that's 5 in a row in strike zone.
Come on, Ty.
Castro struck out his first time up. This is the first time in Castro's career that he's been called upon to DH. 42nd game he started this year. He can play all the infield positions. Foul. I wonder what kind of adjustment it is for a young player who's been playing every day his whole life and then
freshness.
for the first
You know what? You and me both, my friend.
When I was in Cleveland, I DH'd, and I was a veteran. And I was
Maybe we should do it totally different and bet on the team the Mets are facing. Maybe it'll change some type of mojo going on there or something. I don't know.
But you just don't know it. You got a lot of antsy rookies that are trying to get established, have a lot of anxiety, and I think it just depends on the individual how they handle it. Grow up not being a DH. You grow up playing in the field.
Nice pitch.
I wonder, when the young players are counseled about how to approach pitch hitting situations, because most of them have pitch hit before, they're always told to be aggressive.
Right.
I wonder if it's the same when you're DHing and you get 3 or 4 at-bats again.
I think you're part of the lineup, and you're going to be pitched accordingly how they feel they can get you out. Pitch hitting, it's usually you're coming up pinch hitting with men on base, and they're going to come after you more times than not. Pretty different. I think it makes you a better pitcher, a hitter, when you pinch hitting, because it's almost like you got 2 strikes on you without not pass. You get a fastball, you're going to be all over it.
And I think
Come on, Ty.
DHing today is a little different than it was back when you were playing, because of the proximity of the batting cages to the field. Much like at Citi Field, you walk down 3 steps out of the dugout,
right.
There's a batting cage right there. And then you have to know how much is too much as far as keeping yourself going in the batting cage between the bats.
I mean, the batting cage at Old Shea was way down the right field line.
Castro gets a hold of one down the right field line, hooking toward the corner, and that ball is
gone.
The pole, a home run.
Wow.
Rodolfo Castro has struck again. 3 home runs against the Mets at Citi Field last year.
Oh.
2-run homer off the pole tonight. His 6th home run of the year, and the Pirates have a 3-0 lead.
Oh, boy. I'm not even sure how he hit that ball.
Rodolfo Castro has really made the most of his at-bats against the Mets. He's got 11 career at-bats against New York. He's now hit 4 home runs.
Amazing. Oh. I'm not even sure how he hit that ball and kept that fair. Wow.
So the Mets find themselves in a hole yet again against one of the bottom teams in the league.
Hanging break.
Yeah, it was a hanger.
Just spinning up there, bell tied. It did hit the pole.
Hit the top of the foul
Well
pole.
struck.
Things not going swimmingly for Taijuan Walker. He got around to lead off in the first inning. Gave up a scratch run in the second. Now a walk and a 2-run homer and have put him in a hole.
It's the hanging breaking ball. And you see how he just let the ball come to you. Let it come deep.
Guys, it's not a choke job. The team's 35 games over 500. It's not a choke job.
Gamble pulls one toward the right field corner, but that goes foul. So Rodolfo Castro has now hit 11 home runs in his brief career, and he's hit 4 of them against the Mets in only 4 games. Horses for horses. He's just 23 years old.
Who's the old timer against the Mets? Is it Stargell or is it
Stargell is 6.
Well, that's the problem with Walker. Second half has been a problem for him both times already. Yeah, that was a hanger for sure.
The time when the Mets offense is stuck in the doldrums.
Guys, we don't have to settle for a wild card. The game's not over. Relax, guys.
Gamble draws
Relax.
a walk.
Walker is just terrible right now. My God.
By Castro. Jeremy Ducker will go out for the visit.
49 pitches for Walker in the bottom of the third with 1 out. 3-0 Pirates. So we're waiting for Hefner to talk to Walker right now. The Mets are trailing 3-0.
Well, we're a long way from home, but apparently the shirt has made the trip.
Guys, once again, it's not a collapse. You guys are just ridiculous. It's not a collapse. Last year wasn't even a collapse. You guys got to relax about that. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. It's not a collapse. This team is not 5 games over 500. They're 35 games over 500. The Braves are not winning yet. They're playing in Oakland at 10 o'clock, guys.
Takes a splitter for ball 1. So Walker having trouble finding the strike zone here in the third inning.
Well, the bigger problem with Walker is the second half of the season. That's been a huge problem.
Hayes at a broken back comeback for his first time up.
Oh, not even getting the outside corner.
Shane Lavensbarger called it outside. It's 2-0.
So Mark Vientos was scratched from the lineup from AAA. No answer, no reason given to why. Might be coming up, might not. I don't know.
It's a strike 2-1, but Pirates have struggled the last few years.
Yeah, just because we might lose, we might not be in first place by the end of Thursday, doesn't mean we can't take over first place again, guys. I think people are a little too confused about that. I mean, they can bring up Ventos, that's fine, but in my opinion, they waited too long for something like that. When it was clear before the deadline and even after the deadline, they waited too long. It makes no sense to me. Oh, we got him. Nice pickoff. 2 outs. Thomas, the Mets do beat good teams. The Braves don't. Look at the records against good teams. Guys, it's not a collapse. You guys are not paying attention. And pops it up, should end the inning. All right, so 3-0 Pirates after a 2-run homer in the third. Mets are losing 3-0, going to the top of the foot. Marte got hit in the hand by a fastball. Apparently it's precautionary, but we'll see. And the people who keep on calling it a collapse is losing, going 5-20 in September, all right, or going 5-20 in August. That's a collapse. The Mets have still been playing well. When a team like the Braves are playing 750 baseball since June 1st, if the Mets have been playing around 650 baseball, the Braves are going to gain games on them. It's just very simple. But it really doesn't matter the fact that if the Braves tie it tonight, you know what that means? That means the Mets are still in first place. The Braves are tied. The season ended today. The Mets would win the division because of the season series against the Braves. Freshness? Yes, they do. Do you know the Pirates' record against the Dodgers this year? 5-1. Why haven't the Dodgers beaten the Pirates this year in 6 games? The Dodgers are 1-5 against the Pirates. You know what that's called, freshness? Baseball. It happens. The Mets aren't under much pressure. It's not because of that. They're just not on a good streak right now. And let's not talk about history. History doesn't repeat itself. The Nationals couldn't get out of the first round in the playoffs, but they did, right? Dodger fans, listen up. Clayton Kershaw was one of the worst pitchers in playoff history. For how many years? Guess what he did in 2020? He finally figured it out, right? The Braves, who can't win a World Series, right? Winning them divisions year after year after year, can't win a World Series. They won last year. History doesn't always repeat itself. History can change. Nick, dude, you don't get it. You just want to assume that history is going to repeat itself. And it's not a thoughtless comment. It's common sense. People want to listen to common sense.
Watch baseball till the cows come home.
You know, why wasn't people complaining that the Dodgers were losing to the Pirates? The Mets have been inconsistency until this point. So it's not inconsistency. Inconsistency is a streak of a long time, like a month or two. Shimmy, I don't think you're playing down to the competition. It's just the guys that you need to perform are not performing right now. That's the only thing.
Two base runners in the first, double play. Two base runners.
Oh, Butterscotch, it's not about being concerned. Of course I'm concerned. But I would be more concerned if your pitchers weren't pitching well. Well, Steven, you've been commenting me all day, and you've been saying exactly the exact opposite all day in comments. But the Mets win too. Like, I just don't understand that. How many wins do the Braves have? So anybody can figure that one out. Just curious. Look at the Braves' record against 500 teams and better, and look at the Mets. The Mets have a better record than that. Just that the Mets are playing a little bit worse right now, right? The Braves couldn't beat the Cardinals. Why couldn't they beat the Cardinals, right? Okay, 84 wins. The Mets have 85. If the Braves are so good, why haven't they passed the Mets yet? I mean, come on, guys. Steven, you've been commenting all day and going on and on and on about stuff. Whatever I say, you say the exact opposite. It's okay. You can have a difference of opinion.
The game was called yesterday. It never really rained.
Lion, but it's not only about June 1st, is it? If it was only about June 1st, the Braves would be in first place, right? But what about April and May? They don't count? Of course they count. You know what? If you take away September last year for the Braves, you would have never made the playoffs. That's the funny thing.
Here's the part that I don't understand.
But Steven, I was talking about the trade deadline because the trade deadline did not help us the way it should have. Right? We're talking about Vogel back here, who had one good week, and everybody went crazy over it, including myself.
Easily into a straight doubleheader and on a travel day. Whereas the Yankees, who draw far better than the Pirates, are playing a straight doubleheader.
It's not a collapse. If the Braves win the division, it's because the Braves won a lot more games than the Mets. It's not a collapse. The Mets should go 5-20. That's a collapse.
Yeah, but still.
Should be 2 outs.
Cruz right behind.
Ooh, that was a terrible throw.
It's dug out by Chavis, and they get the out. Routine play that Cruz bounced over to his.
Honestly, they've only been playing terrible the last 12 games. Yeah, they played terrible, but still found a way to beat the Dodgers. I'm not taking it that way. You're going against everything I'm saying. And it's funny, like, did the Dodgers collapse last year since the Giants won the division? No, nobody's going to say that because they won 100 games. The Mets and the Braves are going to both win 100 games. That's collapsing? It's not, guys. Freshest? I don't know. At the moment, it doesn't look good. You know, the Dodgers were supposed to sweep the Mets, right? But they took the series. But nobody wants to bring that up. It's funny. The Mets are having the worst stretch of the season, yet they still beat the Dodgers, which in retrospect makes no sense, right? But it is. It happens.
We think passed it in the afternoon around at night, but we're not sure. We're also not sure about the Pirates starters, the former Brave Bryce Wilson. The former
all right, and it's the way I see things, but nobody. Oh, that's Mike down the line. Foul ball. You can see things, but again, the trade deadline was not good for this Mets team. You got no bullpen help. Givens is not help. And you brought in 3 guys. We might need more than 4 runs, Steven, buddy.
And then have DeGrom out there who works fast and maybe have a 2-hour 10.
Nick, of course they can.
course, there's a different way of looking at it also, which is that DeGrom has not been able to get very deep into games so far, even though he's been brilliant. Bassett gives you a better chance maybe to get to the 8th inning.
Both pitchers.
Which would you rather have?
And Canna with a gapper should be a base hit.
Base hit. Reynolds comes over to field it, and Canna will stop it.
2-out hit for Canna.
That's their 4th hit.
All right, the Dodgers are first in runs, first in team ERA, yet they still lost to the Mets. Why was that? What are we gonna say? The Dodgers just didn't feel like playing against the Mets.
Bullet to right center field.
Well, that's the other thing. 2 out of the last 3 years, the NL East teams won the World Series, right? So everybody likes to throw down the NL East like they suck, but yet they've been winning World Series more than other divisions. So let's see if Escobar can get something done with 2 outs here.
So he's in his best groove in a while. Back and nothing he wants.
Good cut by Escobar.
All right, but that's line. That's a part of your team. Like, okay, that's fine. Braves fans love to talk about the middle relief of the Mets. So we can't talk about your closer, which is clearly the type that's going to close games. And let's be honest, the Braves win a lot of games based on them scoring a lot of runs. Close games are the problem for them, and it's been like that the entire year. Steve, maybe that's the case.
They have scored just 36 runs in their last 12 games.
Come on, Eddie.
And they're in a 3-0 hole tonight in the 4th inning. Keller having the count 0-2.
Good eye.
Fastball off the way, 97 from Keller. That's as hard as he's thrown tonight. James McCann would be next. Three on the right side against Escobar with the third base line open.
Good eye by Escobar. Escobar's not swinging at those sliders in the dirt like he has been the majority of the year. Well, Nick, I don't think Taijuan Walker's a second-half pitcher. I think it's been established. You know, last year you could have said, all right, he hasn't pitched that many innings in 2-3 years. Well, he's back to the same thing again. So I don't know.
Mask, imagine like hockey. Jesus, crazy.
And Escobar pops it up.
O'Neal Cruz calls off everybody.
And it ends the inning. Mets did not score once again. 7 men left on base in 4 innings. Pirates lead 3-0, going to the bottom of the 4th. Ralph, I don't agree with that. You know, if you look at teams in the past, it's like, yeah. I love the people. You know, a lot of the people were saying, "Oh, the Mets are done. The Mets are choking. Mets are that." Were the fans calling that the Mets are winning the World Series when they were 10.5 games up? Like it doesn't work like that, guys. Like it's unfortunate that the Mets in the last 12 games, because it's been the only stretch this year that the Mets have been not performing to where they did the first 115 games, right? The last 12 games, they haven't been good. And that relates to Lindor struggling in those 12 games, Alonso struggling in those 12 games. And I can't really kill the pitching. The pitching has been pretty damn good. You know, we lost a lot of games that were 3-2, 3-1. That's a problem. And look, Alonso just hit into 2 double plays with, he left 4 men on base himself. It happens, right? But they got to pick it up. Jacob, I appreciate it, buddy. Hopefully you keep on coming back for more. Nick, it's not about the hitting coach. It's what Alonso's doing. If I can see it, clearly Alonso can see it, but it's not easy to just adjust on the fly. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. I agree. Who said that? That was a Braves fan. More. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like, again, you know, just if the Mets lose tonight and the Braves win, that doesn't mean the Mets are done with the division. It's just, but you know what? The Braves also have the third easiest schedule going forward as well. So, but you know what? The difference is right now, and it's amazing how the Mets still kept the division lead, considering the fact that the Braves have played 750 ball since June 1st. That's an insane winning percentage. But it's still in the Mets' hands. It really is.
We were in 2019. The Mets were here last year, but we didn't make the trip. And there's the
Wolf Buddy, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. See, you can be a Braves fans and be respectful. You can root for your team because that's always what I want you guys to do. But be respectful, not about the money. I don't care. You know, that is what it is. That's cool. I appreciate that. Hey, we got it out. Hey, we got it out. Woohoo! Wolf, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. Again, I love when people root for their own team, right? But when you make it about more personal than it is, it's not, right?
That's a big gap.
Well, Lion, that's the difference. The Braves rarely lose, right? They had a 3-game losing streak, but in that stretch, the Mets lost 2 out of 3. We could have gained 2 games on you guys, and that's gone. It's gone. Ooh, foul ball. Wow, that was a shot.
Suwinski with a bullet that just missed hitting the pole again. It hit that high mark.
Yeah, but Jacob, the double-digit lead was in June. It wasn't like it was in September. You know, there was still basically almost 100 games to play by that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really a collapse. Like the Yankees, because it's been August and you had a 15-game lead, that's why it looks like more of a collapse than the Mets. Don't get me wrong. It would be a terrible situation, but you got to remember, the Braves went on a 16-game winning streak to get back in the ball game, and the Mets were a few games over 500 at that point during that stretch. So it's not necessarily a collapse. I get why Met fans are saying it because of years past, but it's not about history. It's about this Mets team. Strike 3, all right. It looked like Taijuan Walker's pitching a little bit mad. Thank God for that. Yeah, like I said, the Yankees had a double-digit lead in August. That's a lot closer than the Mets having a double-digit lead in June when the Braves went on that run.
Chad Fairchild, who was also here last year for the Taijuan Walker play, he was the umpire at third for that game as well.
Mothman, what's up, buddy?
Sure remembers it well. That's what I do. Restrain and enrage Luis Rojas.
I didn't know if you noticed towards the end of that tape.
I will be live for the first game tomorrow. The second game, maybe, because I do got to work at night, and I'm not sure what time I have to go in tomorrow. So, excuse me, guys. Bro, because it looked like a home run from the vantage point that I had. No, I agree, Lion. They don't score runs. That's obvious. But even with the Mets not scoring runs, they did beat the Braves almost every series this year except for one, right? Why was that? Because the Mets pitching was extremely good. And that's why there's always hope with this Mets team, because it's not the pitching that's causing – like if it was the pitching that was giving up runs like crazy and not pitching well, then I would be more worried than I am. If it was, with the lineups get hot and cold. It's very simple. Pitching, on the other hand, has been why the Mets have been still holding on to this lead over the last month because of the pitching. Well, Ralph, you can say that, and that should be ending the inning. Walker got it. All right, so that ends the bottom of the fourth, 3-0 Pittsburgh. Going to the top of the fourth. See if the Mets can actually do something here with runners in scoring position or runners on base. Ralph, I know you said that. That, in theory, makes sense what you said, and I'll put that up there. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And right now the Mets look like they're finishing like shit. Okay, sure. But you know what you can look at? Look at the Yankees. their first 3 months of the season is basically saving their asses now. So it's not basically how you start, just how you finish. If the Yankees didn't start the way they did with that historical start, they'd probably be in third place right now, based on the way they played the last 2 months. So it's not just how you finish, because if that's the case, the Braves should have took over a long time ago. It's not just how you finish, right? The reason why I'm not concerned about quote unquote collapse is the fact that the pitching still has been pretty good. And last year it was all about the pitching falling apart, right? After DeGrom went down, there was no hope with that rotation. This rotation is still going out there, giving the team the win every single day. When your team doesn't score and they only score 1 or 2 runs, and your starter gives up 2 or 3 runs, you're probably not going to win. But if your starter, if you tell me every night somebody's giving up 2 or 3 runs, you expect with the offense who's been scoring 4.5 to 5 runs a game over the course of a season, you expect to win those ball games. But when a lineup is cold, the lineup always finds a way to come out of it. It's just how baseball works. But the pitching has been consistent all year. And I think that's why I'm not overly concerned, because the lineup for 2 weeks can be cold and then all of a sudden get hot again. And that's why I'm not completely concerned, because the pitching has been there. And I think that's the big reason why this Mets has continued to keep that division lead. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking the comments right now. All right, so top of the 5th, Mets trailed 3-0 against Pittsburgh.
They dipped, but it's really been the last 5 days or so where Chavez has been concerned. He thought that there was some really good pitching early on, but recently it feels like the guys have looked
right after the All-Star break, which was basically almost August, was the time you had that 15.5 game lead. After you faced the Mets, that's when it started to go a little bit downhill, when you lost those 2 games at Citi Field. And it's been that way ever since. Oh, Wolf, that's 100%. Like I said, look, I think the Braves, all the Mets fans would like a 10.5 game lead right now, but it is gut-wrenching every single game during September for a division lead.
Incorrect way. Feels like he just needs 1 game from this group to break out a little bit, start feeling better about themselves, and move forward back to where they were.
I felt the same way, Steve.
And that's a base hit for James McCann to lead off the 5th. Well, I think the biggest problem with the Braves, and I think some can agree, is that they strike out a ton. And when they face strikeout pitchers, that's why I think the Braves have struggled for the most part against the Mets, because we have a lot of strikeout pitchers and they strike out a ton. And you don't have a trustworthy closer, which I think is a big problem in close games in the night. The Braves win a lot of games because they blow out their opponents. When there's close games, they haven't been very good in close games because of their closer. Jansen scares the hell out of you. Has to. All right, let's get it done, guys. Brendan Nimmo with a man on first, 1 out. And Nimmo bunts and gets him out. I don't like that bunt. Don't like that bunt. You're losing 3-0 and out by 1 run.
To retire Nimmo for the first down.
It was just a heck of a play. Half a step cut bunt by Brandon.
I think Nimmo's a good player. I don't think you should give him $100 million, though. I think that's the problem.
Down the line enough.
Yeah, the problem, I don't like that bunt for Nimmo there. I understand what he was trying to do. It had to be a perfect play, but
they're going to give Brandon credit for a sacrifice, but clearly he wasn't trying to sacrifice down 3 runs in the 5th inning.
I agree.
Here's Naquin with a base hit his first time up after taking over for an injured Starling Marte. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Hey, Danny, how you doing?
It's a close play.
Stretch by Chavis.
Yes, sir. That's a half step. Got him.
Well, JL, you can say the Mets have guys coming back as well. Luke Casey, we got McGill coming back as well for that bullpen. So we're going to get help in the bullpen as well. But well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Yankees might not even win 100 games. They might not even win 95. Like, that's when you're on pace to win 114 games, 15 games, and you had a 15.5 game lead, that's a lot in 2 months. You know, it took the Braves 3 months to still try to get a chance to take over the Mets.
You can see on the knuckles, the top hand, right hand, top hand, and
yeah, it hit him like over here in the knuckle to the finger area. You know, you just want to make sure it doesn't swell up. Hopefully, there's nothing broken. Come on, Tyler. Oh, damn it. We're hitting a lot of balls right to people. Well, can't do nothing about that. You hit it right at the person. What can you do? Well, that sucks. The Mets are not hitting them where they ain't. Naquin had 2 good at bats so far coming in from Marte. Ron, what's up? Edgardo, how you doing?
Can at second with 2 out, and Lindor takes a slider for strike.
Well, you know what? Over here, it's not terrible. There's only a couple of bones in this area. You know, if it was here, you got all those little bones here. But again, you know, you could still break one of those bones. I mean, in the finger area. But let's hope it wasn't. It's just swelled up. That's why they took him out. Oh, he went.
Slider, but he couldn't, and it's 0-2.
No, you can see them. You can see Lindor pressing a little bit. He's trying to get things done, knowing that Pete Alonso has been struggling.
26-year-old Mitch Keller facing the Mets for the first time. He's been in a groove. Go back to his stint in the bullpen earlier this season when he revamped his repertoire and developed his sinker. He's made 16 starts since then. He's 3-5 with a 3.69 ERA, which is a huge improvement from where he was. And maybe he's starting to turn into the middle to top of the rotation starter the Pirates thought they had when they drafted him out of high school. Second-round pick back in 2014. 1-2 to Lindor.
JL, you know what? Frank the Tank, I wouldn't put as a guy to like show how every Mets fan feels because he's like 99.9% of the time a negative Met fan, like always. Like when the Mets are 10 games up, he was still having a problem that we lost 1 game against the Nationals in the middle of the year. It's crazy.
About to throw his 80th pitch of the night.
All right, Lindor fouled it off. Well, yeah, the Mets are better than the Yankees, but again, like we were talking about earlier, a couple of Braves fans were talking about it, and one of them made a good point that no matter if the Mets or the Braves win the division, the Mets and the Braves are going to do some damage in the playoffs, considering the fact that they are good teams. Like nobody wants to play the Mets or the Braves in the playoffs because the Braves being so good and the Mets pitching, that is, let's be honest, Scherzer and DeGrom can be scary. And I think the Mets offense will show up again because they're just in a slump right now because they've done it all year. Why should I assume they're just going to be bad because they only played bad for 2 weeks? Come on, Frankie.
2-2 coming to Lindor. And he whacks him into center field.
Come on. Oh, another hard hit ball.
Makes the catch.
Damn, we're hitting them right at the fielders, man. That sucks. What can you do there? 2 hard hit balls, line drive by Naquin, right to the right fielder, a line drive left center, and the center fielder was playing there. There's nothing you can really do, right? You didn't hit them where they ain't, right? That's baseball. Butterscotch, that's not true. They've been a lot more consistent all year. You know, I think people forgot we've had only 2 3-game losing streaks all year. That's it. Like, that's it. And they're hitting line drives. Like, it's not like they're striking out. They're hitting the ball. You're hitting them right at people. And you know what? We saw that against the Nationals, too. Like, James McKenna, I think he hit 3 balls right on the nose, right at fielders until one of his last at bats, and he got a double. He finally got it past a fielder. Lion, who knows? Well, I mean, Butterscotch. I mean, honestly, the playoffs don't matter right now. We still got a month. So, Alvaro, I agree with you on that. PNC is one of my favorite parks. I've been to 11 parks, 11 stadiums, I believe, maybe 12. PNC was one of the best. I love Fenway Park. I think Yankee Stadium is one of the worst new stadiums out there because it kind of made no sense that you feel like you're in jail when you walk in a concourse, which is a little odd with the cement walls. It's weird. Well, it happens, Silva. That's baseball. That's why baseball is a great game. Right? Why did the Marlins, who weren't a really good team in 2007, beat the Mets? They shouldn't have, but they did. Well, yeah, but again, the offense can look totally different a month from now, right? Last month, right? Say the first week in July, the Mets offense couldn't be stopped. So, all right. So bottom of the fifth, 3-0 Pirates.
This curveball for a strike from Taiwan Walker. The leg grounded.
Yeah, the Braves are better, but guess what? They still don't have a better record than the Mets yet.
It's a smash.
And that nice play by Escobar. Nice play.
And he throws him out. Bolt took an offbeat hop on Escobar.
That's a good forward, Frank.
Well, Escobar flashing the leather here. He's quality glove. Played it back on the long hop. You can do that with a ball hit that hard. And that ball was hit at 104 miles per hour.
So a little news, guys. Mark Vientos was scratched from the AAA lineup tonight. No indication of why. He might be coming up to the big leagues or he might be injured. I don't know. But he has been scratched from the lineup. And that's a double. That's a shot by Cruz. Jesus.
Cruz into second with a one-out double.
Well, he's been impressive with the bat tonight.
Well, yeah, Eddie. It's not about the wild card. We know the Mets or the Braves are going to be the first wild card team. I don't know if it's raining in Pittsburgh. Cruz is such a good player, man.
Or as they said in the trade, he hit that ball real hard. So a runner at second with one out.
He was scratched because of a headache.
Continue to dance around on Taiwan Walker. 2 hard hit balls in this inning. Brian Reynolds, who walked and scored his last time up. And he has to move his feet on a cutter, and it's ball 1. Well, in the StatCast era, Giancarlo Stanton owned the leaderboard since they started measuring in 2015, but O'Neill Cruz broke the leaderboard soon after his call-up this year. And that's ripped into right field at base hit. Cruz to third. He's going to be rammed around. Here comes Naquin's throwing the plate. It's cut off.
4-0.
Ryan Reynolds with an RBI single, and they are hitting ropes against Taiwan Walker.
Well, batting practice from Taiwan Walker. I tell you guys, Taiwan Walker in the second half is just absolutely terrible. Another hanging pitch down the middle. Rough.
McNeil did the wise thing here to cut it off. They weren't going to throw out Cruz, who runs well.
So 3 very hard hit balls to start this inning. A run is in. Here's Castro, who homered off the foul pole this last time.
2 years in a row, Taiwan Walker has been absolutely terrible in the second half.
It's the lowest scoring team in the National League. Got a run in the second. The 2 run.
A lot of hangers up there.
Third, and then O'Neill and Reynolds combine. Cruz and Reynolds combining.
Well, Steven, at least your dog will be happy.
Did you know that O'Neill Cruz is named after Paul O'Neill?
I did not.
Yeah. And Raphael was a minor league player. He said, I wanted to make sure that he became a left-hand hitter.
Was he a natural right-hand hitter at
He
birth?
throws right-handed, but he said, I wanted to make sure he was a left-hand hitter, so I named him Emil.
Well, we'll see more. You never know.
Left-hand hitter and throw right. You got so many more options in the field where you can play.
I mean, he doesn't spell O'Neill the same way. There's no apostrophe. There's no
Alvaro is very simple. Baseball. I don't know what else to say. Like this, that's it, right?
I was a right-hand thrower. He would have made me a shortstop. But I'm a southpaw here.
Watch live Mets games, SNY programming, and original content anytime, anywhere, on any device with the SNY app presented by CarShield. Scan the code and download today.
Taiwan Walker got 77 pitches in the fifth, gave up 4 runs so far,
1-2 to
threw 4 in the third.
That fastball sails up and away, and it's really falling apart in this inning for Taiwan Walker, and Michael Gibbons will begin to throw in the Mets bullpen.
Givens is warming up in the bullpen.
Go back to what we talked about early in this game, and Walker and the split between his first half and second half last year, and what the Mets need from him as he strikes out Castro. And then this kind of an outing against one of the worst offensive teams in baseball, and it makes you raise your eyebrows.
I haven't been to the Atlanta's new park yet, Truist Park. I heard, I know the 7 Line went there a couple of years ago. Was it 2021 or 2019? It's a really nice park.
So few innings the previous 3 years coming back from Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, but Strider is also a crybaby when he didn't get his way against the Mets. So, that 16 strikeout performance was excellent. I don't care who that was against. I don't care if it was the Rockies. That was just pretty damn cool. But, you can't complain and act like a baby when you lose to the Mets. But when you win to the Mets, you act like a good boy. Like, it's kind of, yeah. But Strider's 16 strikeouts was just amazing against the Rockies, though. Oh, all right, Pete. Double, nice play.
Retires the side. That appeared headed for the corner.
And
Alonso with the lead.
That was a rocket as well. Well, Pirates score another run. Mets are losing 4-0 going to the top of the 6th. Pete with a nice reaching catch to end the inning. Yeah, but Schnitzel, that's baseball. You know how many blue pits are in baseball every single day? Who cares? Like, I just don't understand that. You know how many blue pits the Braves got against the Mets? You want to count them? Like, that's called baseball. You didn't get the guy out. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Mets just hit 3 line drives right to outfielders. I'd rather have a blue pit instead of a line drive out. Like, that's baseball. Like, I hate when people talk about that. Like, it's not an excuse. Like, all right, you want to talk about the Braves? All right, so you beat the Mets the last time you faced them when Walker and Carrasco came out in the second inning and you were facing minor league pitching. But nobody wants to talk about that, right? The Brave fans are quiet about that. You can't have it both ways. Like, make sure you're fair on one side and you're fair to the other side as well. The Braves should have won them first 2 games of the series because Carrasco and Walker left in the second inning. You were facing minor league pitchers. You should win those ball games. And it lost to the Rockies. We took 3 out of 4. And you took 2 out of 3 against the Rockies, right? How'd you do against the Cardinals? Not so good, right? Sicily, look, you can be a Braves fan and root for your team, but you have to actually look at it from a baseball perspective, not just a fanboy, which you clearly are. And I don't know who the rookies are. Who are we losing to rookies? Yeah, James, they already messed up. Marte came out of the game, so that screwed up my parlay. Yeah, he has a 6. Well, it's probably a higher now, so it's probably a 7 ERA. Okay, but aren't those your top prospects? They're supposed to perform well, right? Pete Alonso coming up in the top of the 6th, 4-0 Pirates.
Sixth inning, Pete Alonso takes a strike from Mitch Keller. He's been up twice, grounded into a double play each time. Can't do that this time. Leading off the inning, Jeff McNeil and Daniel Vogel back to follow. Michael Gibbons continues to throw in the Mets bullpen, so it would appear as though Taijuan Walker is done for the night.
But Harrison Grissom was the same. Harris was the same player who was there when the Mets beat him 4 out of 5. So in Citi Field. So it's. I mean, you took one series against the Mets. I mean, you got to relax.
That's 4-0 hole as we start the 6th.
And Alonso with that slider again.
But he went around on the slider. It's 1-2.
But look at the records, Lion. Look at the records. It is true. Again, you're supposed to be who's on your schedule. That's not an excuse for the Mets. It's just it's real. Look at the records. The only good team you actually have a better record than is the Dodgers when you face them. But teams like the Cardinals you couldn't beat. The Mets still have a better season record. Again, that means nothing about winning the division. You got to beat the bad teams because, well, yeah, Pete's been struggling with that slider for sure.
So much more on his shoulders.
Oh, and he's way out in front. Way out in front.
Problems when he's trying to make up maybe for everybody else's lack of production.
Well, we don't know what's going on in Pete's mind. Look, you can't hit an 8-run home run. You can only do what you can do. You're leading off an inning here. The best you can do is hit a solo home run. Stay within yourself and don't press. I'm sitting up here in my fanny. It's easy for me to.
I just think he needs a mental day off, Wolf, in my opinion.
Collective, what's going on collectively offensively right now?
Snitzel, that's the truth. I think we all agree on that.
Forget that net bench down there is recognizing this, and we're in a stretch run here. It's a 1-game lead.
That's poked toward the middle, but right there is Newman to grab it. 1 out.
Well, he hit a line drive with that slider, but right at the second baseman.
This is a little pregame drill for the Pirates.
This is Fungos?
Instead of hitting Fungos, they hit ground balls out of the machine.
Oh, I so disagree with that. I don't care if it's Fungos. You're reading the ball off a bat. Oh, wow. Well, here.
All right, Jeff McNeil is out. 1 out in the 6th.
Who knows what 10 years will bring?
All I know is that Buck Showalter walks around on the field before the game and he always has a fungal bat in his hand.
Yes.
Whether he's using it or not. The thought of a coach who would not use a fungal bat but would use a machine to shoot out ground balls.
Yeah, but Lion, they didn't beat the Cardinals, and it was because of your bullpen.
You want your players to work hard.
I mean, Minter was giving up bad in practice home runs, and Jansen couldn't throw a ball over the plate. That matters.
Diligent.
That matters.
You've got 3 coaches sitting on a stool. I mean, that's just, to me.
Well, Snitzel, that's why with Strider, and even when Strider pitched well against the Mets last time out, he still struggled to strike guys out. And that was the reason why the Mets actually were still in that ball game. So
it's like an artillery team.
Well, when you're in a foxhole, you're not standing, you're down.
I'm flabbergasted by this. Wow. Look at this. You can't break in a sweat.
This is definitely something new.
I understand that, but again,
I like the music too.
he had a bad appearance in a big against good teams, right? He had that bad appearance. That cost you 2 games in the standings, right? That can be in the difference from winning the division or not.
About that. Gee,
Well, that's not good, considering it's an official game.
Yeah, Ralph, exactly.
well, I'm not going to be an old curmudgeon. That's fine. You want to do that? That's fine.
McCann grounds at the second shortstop.
Grab the hot bat,
Ooh,
throws on McNeil,
close
last
play.
stride, 2 out. 4-0
O'Neill even looks a little bit off tonight.
This kid's got unbelievable skills on the side.
Close play, good hustle by O'Neill.
Nice play by Cruz.
Yeah, we heard that.
It is raining. How about that? Yesterday it was supposed to pour, and it didn't. And tonight we're supposed to get it in.
All right, Bogey's up at 2 outs.
It's just a passing shower, Keith. I think the Mets, that's lack of offense is a great, much greater import than a few raindrops.
Well, I'm going to check that radar.
Vogelback has walked and grounded out 0 for 1.
Well, when you struggle offensively, every team looks bad, right? It's kind of the way it goes. Yeah, James, I doubt that. It's a long West Coast trip for the Braves. That's not an easy trip in September.
Some of his best games of the year. 2 balls and strike to Vogelback. When Walker's standing around pacing, but it does not appear as though he's going to be back in this game at the bottom of the 6th, with Gibbons getting himself ready. Back is jammed and fouls it off, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, 2 games. But what about Seattle, San Francisco, in that West Coast trip? You know, Seattle's been playing excellent this year, and they're not an easy team to beat with their rotation now. And the Giants, even though they're not playing as well as last year, they're still a team that can be dangerous. They beat the Dodgers. Like, it's possible. Like, it's not an easy West Coast trip. And Vogelback strikes out once again because that's what he does. Yes, Gary, I did get it today. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, Gary, it's not over yet. Like I says, you know, it's a slump that the Mets are in. It's unfortunate that it happens now, but we'll see what happens, right? That's why we watch the games. And listen, a West Coast trip in September is never easy. I'm sorry. For East Coast team, it's not. Well, if you didn't hear, Vientos was taken out of the lineup, scratched from the lineup. Somebody said it was from a headache. I didn't see that on Twitter. Again, they could be right. I'm just saying I don't know. But, you know, some people thought Vientos might be coming up to the bigs. Some people might just think he's hurt. I don't know. There still hasn't been news on that yet. Well, Keller's not that good, but he did pitch. He had his best start last year. Last outing. And he performed it well again. Well, Ralph, they can slam the Athletics, but the Yankees didn't, right? Again, I don't think the Yankees are any good, to be honest with you. But, again, for some reason, Oakland wins games you don't think they can win, which is kind of odd with that team. Like, if you see their wins this year, it's against a lot of good teams. The wins that they do have is against good teams. They lose to the really bad teams, which is hilarious to me. You know, which is kind of funny. Like, I was looking at it against the Yankee series. I'm like, wow. I'm like, looking at the A's, like they beat Seattle a lot of times. Oakland destroys the Astros, which makes no sense. The Astros have a losing record against the Athletics, which is crazy to me. But it's crazy. Manuel, it's not a collapse. I don't know how a team 35 games over 500 is a collapse. And the Phillies are winning 1-0, and now they're not. Now it's tied. Well, Jesse, they could be shutting it down, but they play well against good teams, which, again, I don't know how. Like, their record is better against good teams than it is bad teams. That's why they don't have a good record, which is kind of weird. And Givens is in the game, so only 5 innings from Walker with 4 runs.
Very hard in the 5th inning. He'll sit, and Givens will take over to face Keith Ryan Hayes, who whacks the first pitch in the right center field for a base hit. So the Pirates
yeah, but Manuel, 07 and 08 was 100% different. 100% different. You know, the Mets weren't 7 up with 17 to go. You know, it's been 2 or 3 games for about a month and a half now. That's not a collapse. The Orioles are more exciting. I'm not going to lie about that.
Right off the ball. There's Givens. Nissan numbers. Last 3 starts, 4 2/3 innings. He hasn't given up a run.
Yeah, well, Givens is not good, and that's your bullpen acquisition.
Sluggish start with the Mets.
Kevin Newman is 1 for 2, and he tries to hold the swing of the fastball when he went around nothing at 1.
Well, Ethan, that and they got people who are defensively challenged as well.
He's done for the night after 6 scoreless innings, and the Pirates will try and piece together 9 outs out of their bullpen.
Jake, I'll bring up your comment. I'll talk about it after the inning. All right. Because I don't consider, like, if you would have told me in the beginning of the year that the Mets are 85-50 and they're a game up in first place in the middle of March, you would have told me that every fan would take that, right? So look, the Mets are one of the top 5 teams in baseball, 4 teams in baseball. I mean, just because based on how they played this year, if you're this good, I want to win a World Series. But just because you're one of the better teams doesn't mean you're going to win the World Series, right? The Nationals were one of the worst teams making the playoffs in 2019, but they won the World Series. So I think it's more based on the fact that you got to wait until the season is going along like now. Like I said, just because the Mets are struggling now doesn't mean the Mets can't win the World Series. It's, right? That's just the way baseball goes.
With respect to high-speed hitting, O'Neal Cruz, as he generally is at the top of the leaderboard twice.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're in the NLCS and you're playing in the NLCS, if you lose, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to look back and be like, oh, that was a good year. I don't see it that way. I think it's a bad year if you don't win the World Series. If you make the playoffs, you don't win the World Series, it's a bad year, in my opinion.
Here's Jack Sawinski, who's 1 for 2, and the pickoff try. Hayes got back. The only highlight of Walker's night was that he picked off Gamble.
No, you can't panic. It's
pickoff of the year.
Why have the Dodgers lost 5 out of 6 against the Pirates? Nobody knows. The Mets are bad right now. They're slumping. It hasn't been the pitching. It's been the offense. It's clearly been the offense.
And that's a closer play, but Hayes got the hand back.
And Givens has just as good a quick a move.
The curse of Cherry Trumpet.
Quick over there.
I'm still not putting the Braves in front of the Mets. You can't until they pass us in the division. I hate when people do that. That's why the power rankings every other week is stupid because it makes no sense. You know, the Mets can go on a 10-game winning streak, and now you're going to pass the Mets over the Braves? It really doesn't make sense. Like, until the Braves pass the Mets best teams, I go by records. It's just I don't care how they're playing. And that makes no sense to me. I mean, there's no reason why in the power rankings the Yankees are always top 5 every single power ranking. That makes no sense. But guess what? You know why they are? Because they're still in first place. And until the team behind you takes over that first place, you should never be behind that team in the power rankings. The Braves aren't already there. They're still a game out.
A lot of these Pirates over the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, based on what? Last year. That doesn't count. The Braves and the Astros, you won't know until they play each other in the World Series, right? They won last year. That's going to drop.
Fall in for a base hit. They can turn at second as Hayes will stop there as Canis slides in after it. And Sawinski's got his second hit of the game.
No, they still will be in first place.
It wasn't jammed. They just kind of swung down and then ball in the strike zone and just kind of got under it. Jumped it. Yeah, there's just like a lot of backspin on that.
Again, if the season ended today and they were both tied, the Mets would win the season series and win the division. So you're not in first place until you actually pass the Mets by half a game or a full game.
So that's 8 hits now for the Pirates. Keep in mind the Pirates came in with the lowest batting average in the National League at 219. They've got 8 hits already tonight. A chance to add to this 4-0 lead. Michael Chavis.
Well, yeah, Jacob, that makes sense because nobody was expecting the same thing with the Mets in 2015. Nobody was expecting the Mets to go to the World Series. But guess what? When you beat the Cubs 4 straight, now you're thinking about the World Series championship, right? The same thing with the Yankees. It was an unexpected playoff run, and now you do 18-19 was going to be huge for you, and it wasn't. So that's why I always think about the situation, you know? Oh, sorry. Wolf, once again, thank you for the super chat. I don't look at it that way because when people say, oh, it's an easy schedule, yeah, but I don't look at it like that because any team can beat anybody every given day.
Trying to establish the circle of trust in his bullpen beyond Edwin Diaz and Adam Ottavino. It's a call for foul off to the right. It's 1-2 to Chavis. Gibbons is trying to enter that circle of trust.
Yeah, but you know, if the Braves go up by 1 game by Thursday, why can't the Braves lose 2 in a row and the Mets win 2 in a row and now they're back in first place? You know, just because the Braves might take over first place by Thursday doesn't mean they're not going to lose first place by middle of September, right? Again, don't think for a second that this West Coast trip is going to be a cakewalk for the Braves. Too many Braves fans think it's going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be. West Coast trips are always a situation where you want to go 500 or a little bit better, you know?
Was unfortunate because he came back off the IL and was pitching wonderfully.
Pete, exactly. Like, it makes no sense, right? It does. Actually, Alan, it won't be the last day in first place because we'll still be in first place even if you tie us. Yeah, Lion, on paper. But what does that really mean? Were the Braves the best team in baseball going into the playoffs last year? No. They weren't even considered to winning the World Series, but they did.
As you can see, we're not exactly filling up the seats here.
There's a lot of Met fans here. They just haven't had a lot to cheer about tonight. And Chavis goes down.
That's a nice pitch by Givens to strike him out. Lion. Okay, that's a series, though. How'd you do against the Cardinals? Like, again, you still haven't beaten the Mets except for 1 series. So, exactly. Like I said, if the Braves win the division, if the Mets face the Braves in the playoffs, the Mets can't beat the Braves? Of course they can. Manuel, I barely have enough time doing Mets coverage, let alone Cowboys coverage. I would have to do everything from work.
Jason DeLay, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 2 tonight.
Nice pitch.
Fastball, 0-1.
Ralph, that's a good point. Yeah, anybody can win it, obviously.
Walker has now made 8 starts since the All-Star break. His ERA in those 8 starts is 6.25.
6.25 in 8 starts in the second half for Taiwan Walker. That is terrible. 2 years in a row.
Makes it a lot worse. Than it really, it's not as bad. It's hard.
I agree, Anthony.
To make your ERA look good. But he hasn't been pitching up to his first half form.
Yeah, he hasn't had any of those really dominant performances that he turned in the first half. The late foul tips it for strike 3.
All right, nice pitch you got out of the inning. Keeping it 4-0. Pirates going to the top of the 7th. Yeah, Lion. Well, that's why I think too many people are panicking to the fact that when it comes to the Mets is that if the pitching was going extremely badly, like Walker didn't pitch good, but he gave up 4 runs. Like, all right, that's a lot to the Pirates, but that's not an insurmountable lead if your offense was clicking, right? The reason why I'm not concerned, look, again, of course I want to win the division, but at the end of the day, the Braves and the Mets are making the playoffs, and they're both going to have – the Braves going to have – or the Mets are going to have the division, and they're going to win the number 1 wild card. So when you look at it, the pitching has been good for the Mets, even the bullpen for the most part. let's be honest, the bullpen hasn't been that bad. The bullpen has a little under a 3 ERA. The good bullpen arms. I'm not talking about the blowouts against the Nationals. So if the pitching was the problem with this Mets team, I'd be a hell of a lot more concerned going into the playoffs or not winning the division. Because the offense and every team's offense goes through a slump and then comes out of it, that's why I don't worry about the pitching staff. And the problem that I have with the way that the playoffs are set up now is that I honestly think being off for 5 days, waiting for your opponent to play in the NLDS, like the momentum is obviously going towards the team that won that wild card series, right? Not saying that the Braves or the Mets or the Dodgers can't win that series if they got the bye, but that's the scary thing. You know, like we've seen it with the Mets in 2015 when they swept the Cubs and they waited a week to play the Royals, and look what happened, right? And I mean, look at the Nationals. They're beating the Cardinals again. Like, it makes no sense. I don't get it. But when it comes down to it, the offense always comes back to fruition at some point. The pitching is what usually, like I said, the Braves didn't win just because of their offense. It took the pitching staff to pitch out of their freaking minds to do what they had to do in the World Series. Yes, Soler was just out of his mind, but the bullpen arms in the Braves, the starting pitching of the Braves was a lot different.
The Pirates.
Tim, I don't know. You've been listening to me. I've said that. That 5-day off period is a problem for any team.
Where he made 45 appearances this year. Marcano leads off in the 7th. And takes the first pitch slider out of the strike zone for ball 1.
5 days is a long time. Like, it's a week, basically. That's crazy.
As you can see, 45 with Colorado.
Like, yeah, you can set up your rotation. Yeah, you can give guys days off. But, I mean, you're going into a series with a team with momentum.
Against Toronto.
Not saying it's going to change the outcome, but, man, that 5 days off kind of sucks.
Just getting his feet wet in Pittsburgh. And Cannon takes up an end. It's 2-0. Escobar and McCann to follow for the Mets in the 7th.
Seattle scares the hell out of me. Like, especially with that Luis Castillo trade.
Treasure Island and Goose Island. Both kidnapped represented in this game.
I loved Kidnap. I thought that was a great adventure story.
So Goose Mountain.
No, it was in Scotland.
Tim, isn't it usually?
Duty of Kidnapped was
Rob, which team had you rather have? I mean, that's kind of a weird question because, I mean, Braves fans are going to say the Braves. A lot of Mets fans are going to say the Mets. Again, does it really matter? I mean, on paper, obviously the Braves lineup is just nasty, and their bullpen is better. But that doesn't decide everything on paper, right? That's why you play the game, right? If you just win games on paper, the Mets would sweep the Nationals and the Pirates, right? And the Dodgers should beat the Mets, but that's not the case.
Games of the year. 2-2 coming to Cannon.
And Cannon strikes out again. Interesting.
So Stevenson begins his stint with a
Yeah,
strike.
exactly, Pete. That's kind of a weird question. Am I worried about Max's arm? I mean, I guess I would. It's not his arm; it's his oblique. I guess I would have to be, right? I mean, he came out of the game, the postseason last year because of that. You know, so. Oh, JD, I did. I'm sorry about that. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. There we go. Buck is average coach. I don't agree with that, JD. He's not. I mean, you can't blame Buck for the lack of offense from a team. Now, I do get on Buck on Saturday when you put in Adonis Medina with a 1-run deficit. That's when I had a problem with Buck. But Buck is not an average manager. Because have you heard the Yankee fans? They've wanted Buck for the last 2 months. Millennium, well, I hope the Astros will help my other parlay. Tim, no word on Scherzer yet. Boone is trash. But you paid for they got him for a puppet, right? Pete, look, I think the only team that can actually that DeGrom will go to is the Braves, only because it's closer to his family in Florida. But if DeGrom is only looking for the most money, it's going to be the Mets. Steve Cohen's not going to let him go make somebody outbid for him. But if DeGrom really wants to go closer to home, well, clearly it'd be the Braves, not the Marlins or the Rays. So, but I think it's about the money, to be honest with you. He sees Max Scherzer making $43 million when he's making 28, 29. So, JD, that's true. But we all know Boone's a puppet, right? Well, Pete, I think you will. It's just that I don't think you're going to outbid Cohen if he really wants him. You know what I'm saying? Unless DeGrom really doesn't want to be in New York and wants to be closer to home, I think that's the only way the Braves would get him, to be honest with you. I agree, Tim, 100%.
2-2 coming. And Escobar swings and misses at a back foot slider. Back-to-back strikeouts.
Yeah, but JD, he can do that with the Mets. Like, I mean, before last year, the Braves win divisions and they choke in the playoffs every year, right? So, Luis Guillorme should be back soon. I mean, I don't know if that's the difference in the offense right now. That's a good question, Jake. It's tough. I'd like to go 4 with Jacob deGrom, but if you have to go 5, I think you have to. I don't think you can lose Jacob deGrom, to be honest with you. Yeah, Marte got hit in the hand in the first inning, and they took him out in the second. So, who's trash talking to Braves? Wow, Paul, you're not paying attention, are you?
McCann is 1 for 2.
Okay, bro, we're adults here. Don't call me bro. Jesus, Lord. My Lord.
You have to wonder whether
on paper line, but again, that means nothing on the field. I think people tend to fall into that little hole about, a team's better on paper. But if that's the case, why do we play the games? If that's the case, right? The Dodgers are better than the Mets on paper, but why did the Mets take 2 out of 3? Hey, McCann got a 100 base hit for once.
Results have been far more encouraging for McCann over the last 3 or 4 starts.
Well, Jacob, that's the difference. I think Jacob deGrom, I think Cohen will take the risk.
There's good hitting there by McCann. Well, if he can get rolling, that'd be wonderful. You know, Brandon still has the energy. Doesn't look like he's been overwhelmed.
Spencer Strider's turning into deGrom. He's got time for that. He's excellent. Don't get me wrong.
It can snowball. Everybody tries doing too much to get the team to break out.
The slider catches the plate, nothing in 1. So when the team is, when individuals are trying to do too much, how does that manifest itself?
I've been on teams, and not the Mets, fortunately, because we had such a great offensive team. But in my St. Louis days, and where we didn't hit, and I was a younger player, and I felt the pressure to get the big hit, and putting too much on your shoulders, except when you're a veteran, you take it much easier. You know you're going to go.
Well, Dustin May need to stay healthy before he can turn it. I think Strider is better than Dustin May, to be honest with you.
When you try to do too much, I think you overswing. You start swinging at bad pitches. Try to do too much, you overswing. Trying to hit the 8-run home run.
And I think we've seen some of that.
Tim, no, they haven't overachieved. How do they overachieve? They won 75 games last year. It's not overachieving. They're actually a good team. Well, then you can say the Braves overachieved because they only won 88 games last year. So they overachieved, right?
and bunched hits together, taking the extra base. And this is really the first time we've seen them hit a dry spell. And we'll see how they deal with this.
Well, they've had no room to breathe.
Freshness, I agree with you on that part. Yeah, see, that's the guy I really like on the Braves. I like Riley. And the difference that's why I think the Braves organization, the front office, is a great organization, because they give their young kids a chance.
After August 8th, after the Mets took.
Well, Tim, that's what I'm saying. The Braves overachieved, so the Mets could overachieve in the playoffs, right? They won the World Series. They did overachieve. They weren't supposed to win the World Series.
That's 800% baseball.
Oh, that's gone. Hey, 4-2. We're back in the ball game. Here we go. There we go. 2-out, 2-run home run. That was a nice home run. Okay. Dardar probably about 5 more years.
Got on top of it. And this is not a fly ball, it's a line drive.
That was a shot.
I mean, he squared that one up. And this might be the spark that they need.
Maybe it's a spark. We'll see. All right, so they're going to the pitching change. 4-2 Pirates. The Mets actually showed some life for the 2-run homer from Nimmo. Let's see. Jacob, I don't necessarily line. Yeah, the numbers don't lie, but again, the numbers don't mean anything in the play, right? The going into the playoffs last year, looking at numbers, you were talking about the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Astros. Nobody was talking about the Braves. They were talking that they were hot in September, but they weren't talking about them winning. Nobody was supposed to beat the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers on paper were better than the Braves, but Braves kicked their ass, right? So, and let's be honest, I'm not rooting for the Astros. So, I damn sure wasn't rooting for the Astros. As much as I talked about early in the stream about, everybody's killing the Astros cheating, but everybody would be rooting for their team, knowing that if their team was cheating, they would still want them to win, right? But again, the Braves weren't supposed to beat the Dodgers, but the Braves kicked their ass. Well, JD, I still don't, as good as the Dodgers organization is in front office, it took a pandemic for the Dodgers to win a World Series, right? The Dodgers choke every year in the playoffs. Every year. They choked last year against the Braves, right? The Braves were not even supposed to have a chance against the Dodgers, and they choked. The Rays, organization-wise, again, people like this is the whole thing with Billy Beane and, Billy Beane baseball and the way with the analytics and stuff like that. Like everybody went crazy. Everybody wants to be like the Oakland A's with analytics or the Tampa Bay Rays, but they don't win. They don't win anything. Championships, I mean. So, you know what? Maybe they still have to look at like the Braves organization. All right, they didn't win until last year, but let's be honest, the Braves and the Dodgers, who were the last 2 World Series champions, the Braves didn't win since 95 and the Dodgers didn't win since 88. So we're looking at teams that finally won a World Series. And look, I still give credit to the Nationals and the Braves more. All right, sorry, guys. It's back in the top of the 7 with 2 outs. Nate Quinn up.
Nate Quinn flies one foul. Their only left-hander in the pen. And really just brought in to get this one.
Wolf Riley. I love Riley.
Derek Shelton would be for Ben Willis to get through the 7th thing. He'll go deeper into his bullpen in the 8th. Of course, if he doesn't get Nate Quinn out, then he's got to stay in the face Lindor. And Alonso.
They win, yeah, but they don't win World Series. Like it always catches up to them.
2 balls hard since coming on for the injured Marte, and he takes a slider out of the strike zone. It's 1-1. Aikman on base hit to center in the 3rd.
Well, Paul, what are you talking about success? You finally won a World Series since '95. But you win divisions every year, and you're the favorite a lot of the years, and you don't do anything. Last year you did. and you weren't even the favorite. You got hot at the right time. And the same reason why the Mets can look like the team that can get hot at the right time. And the Mets are out of the inning, and Nimmo with a 2-run home run to bring the Mets lead deficit to half, going to the bottom of the 7th. Paul, I'm not crying. You just don't know me, but I know you control what you want. That's cute. But, I can assure you Braves fans didn't care about the Braves. They were more concerned about Georgia football last year until the playoffs came around, and you're actually pretty good. No, I wouldn't be shocked because, Tim, if you asked Brave fans last year around the same time, would you be shocked if the Mets won the World Series? They would have told you yes, right? But you could talk about the Dodgers. Why would the Dodgers make the World Series? Honestly, I think the Mets and the Braves are better than the Dodgers. Because, again, in a real season, the Dodgers choke every year. At least in a real season, the Braves kicked ass in a real season. The Nationals found a way to kick ass in the postseason in a real season, right? No, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'd be shocked because we haven't won since 86, and I might pass out in front of you guys. But you know what I'm saying? Okay, Paul, but again, that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't think you're listening. You weren't supposed to win, and you won. So now you're World Series champs. You're expected to win. But what if you don't win? That's a disappointment, right? The Mets might not be supposed to win this year, but if they do, it'll be similar to what the Braves did, right? That's what I'm trying to say to you. Marte got hit in the hand. The Braves GM. Just because he's not afraid to bring up the young guns when they need them. He brought up Riley when Riley wasn't ready, but guess what? He kept them around, gave him chances and chances, and look what he turned into. The guy's a beast. The same thing with Swanson, the same thing with Albie, the same thing with Acuna, Grissom, Harris. That's why I think the Braves front office is one of the best in baseball, if not the best. JL, that's what I agree with. Look, the Braves are a younger team than the Mets. Again, the Mets can bring up Alvarez and Beatty and God knows who else. So the Mets are bringing in, here we go again, Bryce Montes de Oca, who didn't pitch well his last time out on Saturday for the Mets in a 2-run ball game. So I don't know what to tell you. It's all right. Paul's just trolling. It's fine. I don't care. All right, let's see.
Who's already 2 for 3 today, a single and a double.
See if the Mets can first hit and 1 out. 1 pitch, 1 out.
You don't have to watch O'Neill Cruz for long to understand why people salivate.
Yeah, that's why I think the Braves GM is one of the best in baseball because he's not afraid to bring up the young kids and let them fail a little bit if they do. A lot of teams, they'll bring them up. They wouldn't play well. They'll send them back down. The Braves don't do that. They give these guys a chance. Yeah, I know, Pete. It's fine.
Otherworldly, he runs fast. He's got a lot going for him. And he's 23 years old. And for a franchise that
My life pays your wife to clean. Interesting.
There's Brian Reynolds, who singled a run in the 5th inning. And he skies this one along the left field line.
That might actually stay in play? No.
Yeah, that'll be beyond his reach, behind the screen.
MB, I live in Queens.
Around the Majors brought to you by Audi.
Honestly, JD, I mean, I'm not going to fire a GM after 1 year.
For 4th on the all-time list and 5 away from 700 home runs for his career. Aaron Judge is 54th yesterday. He's over 5 times.
But I don't like what he did at the deadline. But I can't kill him for guys like Marte and Cano, who's been a linchpin in this lineup, and Scherzer as well. So
the clean record of 61.
Oh, MB, that's awesome. Best pizza in Queens. I don't know. There's a lot of good spots, but Grimaldi's is pretty good in Brooklyn, by the Brooklyn Bridge. That's an awesome spot to get food, pizza. My favorite player on the Pirates. Well, I'm a big fan of Brian Reynolds. Okay, Park Slope. Okay, I just passed here a couple days ago. Well, that's a nice pitch. 2-2. Oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, it was crazy, those games. But yeah, well, you know what? Let me just put my email there so you guys can, if you want to email me, feel free.
He has family in New York. It's high school. His dad grew up in the city, so he's got some New York roots. And now,
if you guys want to email me if you go to a game, just let me know. I'm there a lot of the time, so. Oh, Joe, the Bronx, that's easy. And that's not because I'm a Mets fan and I hate the Yankees. It's just it's a shit show there, to be honest with you.
3-2 to Reynolds. And he golfs this one.
Yeah, Grimaldi's is legit.
Should be a foul ball for just about everybody in the house tonight. They just announced the paid crowd of 8,817. Steve could probably get himself a few foul balls if he put his mind to it. 3-2 coming. That's ripped foul into the netting. Reynolds, a really good player. Island was on a team that doesn't get a whole lot of publicity. Made the All-Star team last year. He was.
Yeah, Staten Island. Yeah, I can agree with that.
From the Giants when they traded.
No problem, Marge. No problem.
Before the 2018 season, he has panned out nicely. That's lined into center field. A base hit for Reynolds.
That's a shot.
His second hit of the night. And he's on base for the third time.
A lot of guys going with the pitches tonight's game. Not trying to pull the ball.
Manhattan's okay.
Ball's down the way. Good pitch. That's the equalizer right there. Go with it.
NBA, I wish I could.
9 hits now for the Pirates tonight.
NBA, you're funny, man. Staten Island should be a part of New Jersey. West Nyack should be a part of New Jersey, too. Oh, ouch. That hit him. Only got the second out, though. He's a big boy. I think he's okay.
Montez de Oca appears to be just fine. On the leg. Yep. And the trainer's going to come out to have a look. It appears unfazed.
Right. Yeah, that was the point I was making earlier about the Royals, right? They almost had it in 14 and they finished it in 15. And you know what? The Royals, let me just mute it because they're checking the picture. We got hit by the line drive. You know, with the Royals in 15, right? They were similar to a Mets team like this year. They didn't hit a lot of home runs. They were constantly fouling pitches off, working the counts, getting base hits, just having long at-bats. Similar to the Mets team. Again, not saying the Mets are going to win the World Series, but the Mets have a similar concept of a lineup like the Royals. On-base percentage, getting multiple hits, you know, guys that are professional hitters. That's what they had all through that lineup. And it was frustrating to watch as a Mets fan when they faced them because you couldn't get them out. It's similar to what the Mets team is this year as the way they currently constituted.
To first base, Alonso made a lunging grab on.
MB, I wish I could, man. I know that's rough. That's
with Reynolds at second and 2 out.
It's a big run out there in scoring position.
Cutter misses outside for ball 1.
I like how Paul only shows up when the Mets lose, but when they're winning and the Braves. Where was Paul when the Cardinals beat the Braves? Nowhere to be found. It's cute.
Foul. Cutter, and it's 1-1.
You know, Paul's a bandwagon fan. He only shows up when their team wins and the team that they're chasing, which the Braves still are chasing, lose. It's cute. But Paul was nowhere to be found when the Braves lost 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. That's called bandwagon fans. Look up the definition. Ooh, nice pitch. Oka throws hard, man.
Good pitch. See why Bryce Montez to Oka is here. He's got a big arm. 6'7", 265.
Marte. I wouldn't say injured, Frank, but he did get hurt a little. Hit by a pitch in his hand.
Slider fouled away. It's 1-2. 6'7", 265.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of them that show up all the time.
A lot of fast
Paul, you think this is crying? But Paul, you don't show up when your team loses and the Mets win. You know where to be found.
Again, the 1-2.
Ooh, just outside.
Missed. And now it's 2-2, and the Mets fans in the crowd not happy with that.
And Paul, let's talk about Atlanta Braves championships. You have just as many as the Mets. Atlanta Braves, not Milwaukee Braves. Atlanta Braves. I didn't cry this weekend.
Left side of the rubber, first base side.
Brown ball. Nice play, Pete. Out of the inning. Nice play. All right, we got 2 innings to get back in this ball game. It's okay. He control. All right, so we're going to the top of the 8th. Mets down by 2. A nice play by Pete Alonso, saving a run right there. Making a nice dive and catch on the line. Pete still scares me at first base, but it's still a nice play. And Oka covered first base nicely, and that's how you do it. So we're going to the top of the 8th. Mets are still down by 2. See if they can try to make some type of comeback with their atrocious offense. Matt, that's cute. If you have that many division titles, shouldn't you win more World Series? You want to talk about 96? That was a good year for the Braves, right? 2-0 to the Yankees and you lost. You guys choked just as much in the playoffs. Yeah, and be sure. We can do that. That's no problem. Oh, Tim, that might be possible. You might be right. Again, just see what I don't like what people talk about, and this goes for Mets fans as well. Like when the Mets are struggling, this is what they're going to be the rest of the year. But when they're winning the World Series. It's kind of like it's a bipolar type of personality with the Mets, and it goes for a lot of teams too. Like when the Yankees are going through their struggles, and they still are, and almost blowing a 15-game lead. They go on a 5-game winning streak. The Yankees are winning the World Series, according to Yankee fans. And then they go on the West Coast. They can't beat anybody. And then they're the worst team in baseball. So it's what fans do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, Bednar is one of the better closers in the game. Yeah, I mean, you guys can talk about division titles, but all the years you won division titles and you only have one World Series to show for it before last year, that's tough. Like, you were favored a lot of years. With those rotations you had with Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, man.
Lindor and Alonso.
Also, now you're going to count 4 with Milwaukee, which is shouldn't even count for you, Atlanta. Lindor ground ball should be 1 out.
That strong arm to throw out Lindor 1 away. So Wellness has come in and got 2 ground ball outs.
Tim, that's what I think every team hopes for, to be honest.
Not come to bat as the tying run. Once we're done with the post game tonight, it's time for Geico.
That is true.
back in this game. Look ahead to Jacob DeGrom starting tomorrow. Football rules. Good sports night tonight and every night. Right here on SNY.
The Alonso coming up. He has struggled.
0 for 3 tonight.
2 for the last 23.
And a line drive out. That's on the heels of a 1 for 10 series against Washington. It's finally got on the board in the 7th. A 2-out single by James McCann. Brandon Nimmo drove a 2-run homer to get the Mets back in this game. And Ben Willis. This is with a breaking ball from ball 1. Will Crow is up in the bullpen for Pittsburgh. With David Bednar on the injury.
Well, you know what? The Braves weren't a big contact team last year. They just had clutch hits after clutch hits, and then mostly home runs. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just that.
Will Crow is a guy who get lefties and righties out. Fastball from Ben Willis is inside 2-0.
Thank you, man. I hope you come back for more. Come back with when the Mets face the Braves. It'll be fun. Like, I don't care if Brave fans show up. I think it's fun, to be honest.
He gets one back past the bat, but there's Newman
right up the middle. And that's when the shift hurts.
And he throws out beat 2-away. Let's check in with the students. See what's coming up on PointsBet postgame live. Gary Apple and Todd Seal. What you got, guys?
Mark, here we thank you. I'm going to take a look at Taiwan Walker's night and Mitch Keller. Pretty good for the Pirates.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Struggling, but Mitch Keller has best out of his career. All right, now we'll see.
Again, if we don't talk shit to each other as Mets and Braves fans, what's the point of being fans? You know what I'm saying?
Still only 4 outs left to play with, trailing 4-2. Manny Ben Willis has come out of the bullpen. The former Yankee has retired his first 3. Now facing Jeff McNeil, who's gone over.
Well, if you looked at me, if
2 ground outs.
half the people that were following my channel a year ago thought I was only negative. But it's hard to talk about a Mets team last year that you have to be negative.
Mexico first signed with the Yankees in 2008 as an
You know what I'm saying?
free agent, spent 7 years in the farm system before he was traded to the Braves.
Paul,
for whom
I appreciate it too, man. Like I said, I have no problem.
Back to the Yankees
Brave
this
fans coming
year,
on the chat. Like I said,
and then they let
I could easily just knock you out of the stream, but what's the point? You know, I know there's a lot of streams that knock other
back to up
fans of other
next.
teams out of the streams,
Question
but
is,
I don't see the point of that. I think it's fun, to be honest. Just because we don't agree on teams and we want to talk shit, that's the fun part of sports. It's boring if you don't talk shit, to be honest.
Against the righty.
I gotta believe it's going to be rough, even though Vogelback's in the on-deck circle.
Buck's not going to tip his hand because if McNeil makes the 3rd out, it's a point here anyway.
Well, in the dugout, Ruff has got to have his helmet on and his bat.
No, Paul, you don't. You haven't said a bad word or, racist or anything like that. That's why I don't block you. What's the point?
Bats against left-handers in a Met uniform.
Blue City, I love you, man.
So, 5.
Both Vogelback and Ruff have been struggling.
Oh, yeah, MB, I'm sorry about that.
Hard enough against the guys they're assigned to face, much less the opposite side pitcher.
There you go, MB. It's coming up there now.
Neal came the 3rd in the National League in batting, but has taken it over. Ben Willis gets that in at the knees for a strike.
That's borderline.
Well, then the Mets have a better percentage when they make the playoffs winning World Series.
Pitcher got the
If that's
call,
the case,
but
right?
Either way, Jeff disagrees, like he always does. Jeff has a good
But,
knowledge of the
you have,
pitcher
how
got
many
the call.
division titles in a row? And only 2 World Series to show for it, though. I agree. It's recent, absolutely.
That takes it to 2-2. McNeil
But,
fights off a fastball.
all the times you've made the playoffs over the Mets, right? The Braves made the playoffs a hell of a lot more times than the Mets. But when the Mets make the playoffs, they do a lot more damage than the Braves do in the playoffs. So percentage-wise, the Mets in the last, 25 years made the playoffs, 4 times? Right? If you look at from
Again, the 2-2.
when the Mets made the playoffs, the Mets came into existence in 62, right?
Very shallow and towards
73,
outfield against
made the World Series, lost to Oakland. 69, we won against the Orioles, right? 88, we lost to the Dodgers in the NLCS. Obviously, 86, we won the World Series. like percentage-wise, the Mets are better when making the playoffs than the Braves, if you look at it that way.
Standing on deck for the moment.
Oh, that's a can of corn. Cruz, it should be.
Cruz retreats.
3 outs.
Side retired. 1-2.
All right, well, the Mets got one more inning to go to see if they can come back. Okay, Andy, no problem. So it's still 4-2 going to the bottom of the 8th. Well, Naquin is in front of Lindor because Marte got hurt. Line, that's what I agree with right there. That's what the most frustrating thing that I can say as a Met fan. You know, historically, when the Mets make the playoff, they make a run. If it's the NLCS, the World Series, they usually make a run. Like if you look at the Mets history in when they make the playoffs, they usually make a run, right? I just said it to you guys. 69, win the World Series. 73, World Series bound. Terrible for many years. Then we got to 86. They won the World Series. 88, they lost to the Dodgers, right? Long time coming, nothing happened. 99, lost to the Braves. 2000, went to the World Series, lost to the Yankees, right? 2006, lost to the NLCS in Game 7 against the Cardinals, right? 2015, went to the World Series, lost to the Royals. So they do make runs when they actually make the playoffs. And Pete, they're supposed to get rid of the shift next year. And Lion, that's the other thing when it comes to like the most frustrating thing with the Mets is that they're not consistently in the playoffs. And look, obviously, if you're consistently in the playoffs, pretty good chance you're going to win at least once, hopefully, right? Like, I mean, you can look at the Yankees, right? The last 21 years, they in 21 years, they've won one World Series championship, but they make the playoffs almost every year. The same thing with the Braves. They almost make the playoffs every year. Look, I'd rather be in the playoffs every year and have a chance than making the playoffs every other 5 years and trying to win and possibly making a run. It's not fun, you know? All right, so bottom of the 8th, Oka is still in the game.
And throws a slider off the plate for ball 1. Hayes 1 for 3 at a base hit to right his last time up.
No, JD, I'm not saying it's a failure, but the Braves fans are making it seem like they make the playoffs every year and they win the World Series when you finally have since '95. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like the Yankees, in the last 21 years, they have one World Series championship, right? For a Braves team who constantly makes the playoffs, you should have more championships than you do. I mean, it's just a fact. You don't. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Paris, you can say that about a lot of teams. They didn't make the playoffs. Well, the Marlins have 2 World Series championships like the Mets and the Braves since they've been in Atlanta. So, I mean, nobody wants to be the Marlins. God forbid the Braves or the Mets to be the Marlins.
In the bullpen. I just said that. That's a classic. That is a classic from Jerry Coleman.
That's ball 4.
That's ball 4. And you could talk about the Dodgers, JD, as well. The same thing, right? 88, right? LA winning World Series. It's a big difference, right? It's the Dodgers every year favorite to win a World Series. How many division titles in a row? Still not winning World Series until 2020. And then in 88, right? Haven't won a World Series since 88 until 2000. Yeah, exactly. My parents like that. You know, would I rather be in a Brave situation being in 6 World Series since 90? Hell yeah. But in the Mets have not. Oka from the minors. He pitched on Saturday in Citi Field. See if he can keep it just to 2 runs. See if the Mets actually show some life in the ninth.
mean, it didn't have to work out this way, right? Got a guy whose last name is literally Mountain, would be this enormous.
He's a big guy. He is a Montes de Oca.
I mean, it's like Wilmer Flores. He's named after flowers, and he's got such a sunny disposition. Sometimes it just works out. 1-2 to Newman.
Well, I'm talking about it this year because the Mets can win the division. Again, the winning the division means absolutely nothing in the playoffs. It doesn't mean you're going to win. What I'm trying to tell you is that the Braves win the division almost every year, right? It clearly doesn't matter that they didn't win the World Series, right? They should they win? Sure, but they win the World Series many the titles, division titles every year, going in with one of the best rotations every year in the 90s, and they didn't win. And yet last year nobody expected them to win, and they beat everybody up in the playoffs.
Hang on to their postseason position. The team they're trying to hold off is the Brewers. Milwaukee's 2 games out of the wild card. Milwaukee's up 3-0 in Colorado. They say Christian Yelich hit a 499-foot home run in Coors Field tonight. That's 499.
That's almost Mickey Mantle. Remember the baseball card, Mantle?
Oh, in Washington,
512 where they had to fly to the ball.
I thought it was 565.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Those days they actually had to take out actual tape measures to measure. Now we have StatCast, which we assume is more accurate than the tape measure itself.
Remember some?
It's true. Selling peanuts and leading the cheers all at once. When they would close the upper deck, right?
Sorry about that, guys.
They did it in the Astros.
They do it in Tampa. Close the upper deck.
I think playoffs are a crapshoot for sure. Division titles are not. It comes down to who is hot at the right time.
Back coming to Newman. There goes the runner. The pitch inside goes to the back.
This guy's all over the place now.
The base, despite the good carom right back to McCann. That's 15 stolen bases for Key Bryant.
Well, Space, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's going through a slump.
6-1. Sell to the backstop in this inning for Montez de Oca. First one came up ball 4 to Hayes.
Ethan, I wouldn't say that.
This is a big run at second base.
Yeah, I agree, JD. They are 10-10. Yet the Dodgers still didn't beat the Mets, which they should kill them.
Newman hits one back past the mound. That's in the center field of base hit. Hayes held up, so they'll go to third and stop.
First and third, nobody out.
Pirates have run it to the corners, and now the throw goes through, and Newman takes second base.
Oh, that's not a good play. That was a bad play by Nemo.
At third, there was no reason for that ball not to be cut off. And so Newman takes the extra base.
Did Pete have a shot at this? Pete's the cutoff man. This ball is roped up the middle. Now, watch the base runner. He doesn't know where the infielders are. Very poor right there. He scored. Now, he's not going to score now. Is this over Pete's head? Yeah, he overthrew the cutoff man. So heads up. I mean, you got to know where your infielders are. It's up the middle anyway. It's on the other side on the ground. You break home. And the hitter here kind of now he sees the overthrow. He kind of lollygagged a little bit there, but kept his senses about him. So that's just
so the Pirates got second and third, nobody out.
The Pirates with a chance to really put this game away. Up 2 runs to the bottom of the 8th. A 2 in scoring position and nobody out. That's a lot to bring the infield in. And now Montez de Oca, a guy who was brought here because of his strikeout prowess in the minor leagues, and the Mets could really use some of that right now. Jack Sawinski takes a slider for a strike.
Well, it might be a possibility they might kept him in this kid in too long. And I like how they said, oh, he's a strikeout guy in the minors. Does that really mean anything when you get to the pros? I mean, come on. Face of minor leaguers here. Like,
Hunter getting ready quickly in the Mets bullpen, but right now it is on Bryce Montez de Oca to find his way out of this jam. Walker stole the base, a single. And this cutoff man putting runners at second and third. And that fastball cracks inside.
this kid got nasty stuff, but he's just too wild.
A's starting about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, Space. This is I agree with you with that. Like, it's a 2-run ball game. You know, I think you would want to bring in your other guys that you might actually trust, not this kid. Oh, it's a nice strikeout. Well, that was a big strikeout for the kid.
That's exactly what he had in mind. One down.
Well, Sawinski came into the game with 14 home runs and only 25 RBI, and hitting 152 with runners in scoring position. That was his 47th at bat with runners in scoring position.
Now the infield stays in with one out for Michael Chavis, who has a sac fly. Otherwise 0 for 2.
Ooh,
He chases
what a nasty slider.
One. So the Pirates a little over anxious here with 2 in scoring position. A chance to put this.
Yeah, I mean, again, the kid can get out of this inning, but I mean, this is the same thing that Buck Showalter did on Saturday, bringing in Adonis Medina with a 1-run ball game. I mean, you got back in this ball game with a 2-run homer, and it's like, why keeping this kid in? But you know, the kid can get it done. But I don't agree with the move. He's got good stuff. He's just he's wild. He doesn't throw strikes. Another Pirates are helping us out there, swinging that balls out of the strike zone.
Montez de Oca needing a couple of strikeouts. He got the first one. And now he's ahead on Chavis, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
See if Oka can get another strikeout here and make it 2 outs.
Jason DeLay, the number 9 hitter on deck. 1-2 coming. And he bounces the slider and kicks in front of McCann, and Hayes comes on to score.
Of course they would score like that.
As McCann was able to get a glove on it, but as it tripled in front of him, Hayes read it well and scores on the wild pitch. And the Pirates have
Well, I'm amazed that McCann actually blocked that ball, but that was a terrible pitch. Like,
McCann does all he can do to keep
yeah, there's nothing he could do there. Like, that was a hell of a block to keep it in front of him, but what are you going to do there?
It's a mind to realize, okay, the ball's out in front. It's up to the pitcher to get it down. He's got to cover home. And there's just no way. Good base running. Heads up. Base running.
Goodman went to third.
Well, that was a big run right there.
2-2 the count to Chavis, but that's a huge run. Provided the Pirates with some insurance, they now lead by 3 in the 8th. 2-2 to Chavis. And a half swing, and he went around strike 3. So back-to-back strikeouts for Montez de Oca, bracketing the wild pitch. And now there are 2 out. He's did a great job here on that ball in the dirt.
Well, you just got to want to score. That's just heads up. That's baseball 101.
So 2 out.
So it's a 5-2 Mets, Braves, Pirates, excuse me. And that's a shot. That might drop. Oh, that's not good.
Jason DeLay, just his 7th RBI in the season.
I'm not sure what Nimmo playing there. That should have been a hit. I mean, that should have been an out.
Did some good work trying to find his way through the jam, but the wild pitch and now the 2-out hit by the number 9.
Oh, he's playing actually really deep.
Right in his second big league outing. Montez de Oca trusted to get huge outs, but he couldn't get them all.
I thought that.
Oh, that's what happens when you trust a rookie that, you know, in a 2-run ball game, right?
Montez de Oca is out. Tommy Hunter will try and get the final out of the
Yeah, that was a bad, but he was playing deep to right center though. So
2 runs for the Pirates. Pirates here in the bottom of the eighth, making
So Tommy Hunter's coming in the ball game. See, this is the only issue that I have with Buck. Like, Tommy Hunter was obviously available for this game, right? So you would put, Oka finally did good in his first inning, so get him out of there in a 2-run ball game. I'm not sure why would you keep Oka in there. So that was I don't know what type of call, and he did that against putting Medina in. He actually did the same thing. Actually, he put Ottavino gave up a home run to give up the lead, to give up the tie game on Saturday, putting Medina in a 1-run ball game, and then brought in Tommy Hunter afterwards. So I don't understand why that made sense, and he did it again here. Why Oka would be in the game for a second inning, which is like, I'm muted. Am I? No, I don't think so. Am I muted? I think you guys can hear me. Oh, okay, Sando, I'm sorry. Okay. I don't understand. Like, you got your bullpen. You already got all your bullpen off, ready to go. You got the postponement yesterday, and you got everybody rested. It's a 2-run ball game. You got to keep that game close, especially as bad as you guys been hitting. I don't know, Space. Who knows? It happened again. This is the second time in a week, not even, where Buck Showalter put in another guy who, let's be honest, AAA pitcher. And you can't do that in close games like that. It's just like Oka pitched good last inning. Take him out. Let him be happy. Let him feel confident going into his next bullpen appearance. Yeah, Pete. I mean, you get that all the time. I don't expect anything that, and they'll be the first ones back when the Mets win a ball game. So, all right. So Tommy Hunter's in a ball game, 6-2 Pirates. Again, if you were gonna have your bullpen available, why not use them? I just don't understand that at all. It's a little odd to me.
Hunter pitched 2 innings on Sunday, so you can understand that maybe Buck was a little reluctant to go to him.
But you're going to him anyway.
He's available tonight.
Exactly what Gary said.
I wonder why Montez de Oca started this inning.
Exactly.
Remember, too, Buck mentioned that
Cohen just said it. Exactly what I just said. If Tommy Hunter was available to pitch in this game, why wouldn't you start him in a clean inning instead of using Oka for a second inning? That made no sense.
September in a stretch run, and the pressure it puts on the bullpen. There's 2 tomorrow.
Yep. Well, both out. His hope has got to be that DeGrom and Bassett can both get him deep into the game tomorrow. I know that DeGrom's outings have been foreshortened to a certain extent since he's come back, but tomorrow has to be the day the wraps are taken off. And Bassett's a guy who's been able to get him to deep into games all year. And that's got to be his expectation. One-two coming. It's low and in 2-2. Right now, the Mets' biggest problem is that they're not scoring runs. Right, they've scored 4 runs in the last 3 games. But, in terms of the bullpen usage,
that's true, Mark.
Very protective of their relievers all year. They've thrown relievers back-to-back days, less than just about anybody else. They've thrown them 3 consecutive, less than just about everybody else. But this is why you save them.
Well, and that's a good point Cohen made. Like, you've been protecting your guys, bullpen guys, all season, not pitching them a lot back-to-back days for a stretch run in September. Why aren't you using them? Your whole bullpen's rested. I don't understand that.
Because the bullpen is 2 months of stretch run or 6 weeks.
Delay runs, 3-2.
That's a shot. Goodbye. Home run. In the river it goes. And he didn't even, he actually reached for that ball. Kid's good.
8-2 Pittsburgh.
We hit this one-handed here. Hunter thought he had him struck out a couple pitches before. Watch him let go with one hand. Slider. That's one hand, and he clipped it.
This one over into the river. Look out. Cleared the stands, found the alligator.
That's an impressive night.
It becomes the 67th.
Yeah, well, I mean, the game was over after they scored the 2 extra runs anyway, so.
This ballpark opened in 2001. They'll probably hit a few more.
Nope, they got blown up by the Nationals twice and the Pirates tonight.
Yes, he is.
All you can say is
This has been a particularly
shit.
galling game. They got back in the game on Nimmo's 2-run homer. Had a chance going to the ninth.
Well,
4 runs home for the Pirates.
Saturday,
pretty much solidified a third.
Saturday, when it was a 2-1 ball game at the time, you used Adonis Medina. That was stupid. Today, you got to rest the bullpen. And to not use your big guys in a 2-run ball game doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I know you got a doubleheader tomorrow, but you know what? You got to put on you guys on DeGrom and Bassett to go deep. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying?
Spent the last 147 days in first place, but it could well be tied by the end of the night.
Reality never sets in.
Reynolds has already been on base 3 times, and out with a walk and 2 singles. And Hunter walks Reynolds, so Tommy Hunter comes in and throws some gasoline on. The 2-run homer by Cruz, and walking
The Mets
Reynolds
are
reaches
playing like
base
shit
for
right
the
now.
3rd time tonight. Just tell a position player to get ready to pitch. Is that what that was? Now it's a 6-run game, which means you're allowed to if that's what they plan. Castro hit a 2-run homer off the foul pole and right back in the 3rd. And he takes inside from Hunter.
Not getting that inside pitch.
Get that inside corner and is not getting any calls.
Tim, I don't take trolling to heart to the most part.
To try and get the last out here if Hunter can't get Castro.
Because the same trolls are the ones that don't show up when their team is losing. And when the Mets were winning, they don't show up. So I don't expect, like, those are the children of the internet, the way I see it, especially in social media. Social media trolls are the ones that, you know, will never show it to your face. So that it doesn't bother me. And what's funny about some trolls, and again, there's a couple, obviously, from every fan base. But look, if they're gonna troll on my channel, it's cute, but what you're doing is making my channel better. So, like, you're giving me the views, you're giving me the FaceTime, so to speak. So, I mean, I don't get that aspect of it. If you don't, you know, if you're so concerned about trolling me, you're not really, you know, you're not hurting my feelings at all, to be honest with you. Tim, would you be shocked if that happened? You know what I'm saying? I mean, to the baseball gods, that would be probably a perfect situation. So we're going to the top of the ninth. Paul, yeah, I'll be streaming during the playoffs. Yeah, of course. Paul, you know, I don't show up only when your team wins, unlike, you know, you. Yeah, but still, again, if they're 13, they're 13. You know what I'm saying? Well, Roberto, I do agree with that. I think that Saturday game against the Nationals and today, like 1-run ball game and 2-run ball game, you don't put these guys in that you can't trust. Well, I mean, Butterscotch, you could say that if they play like this the rest of the month and limp into the playoffs. I mean, the '98 Yankees were limping into the playoffs in September, and they won the World Series. So I don't think it goes on to that. I just think it's a matter of how you hit and how you do at the right time. Tim, thank you for the super sticker, buddy. I appreciate that. It's all the love, Tim, all the love. Well, Space, is it over? No, it's the Mets making the playoffs still. It's not over. If the division was the only way of making the playoffs, then yeah, that would suck. But the Mets will be making the playoffs. So I don't see how it's over. Well, I mean, yeah, you could say that too, but I mean, Joe Torre never won, and then he won championships. You know what I'm saying? Carson, thank you for the super sticker, buddy. I appreciate that.
It's been such a pleasant sight for the Mets tonight, as they're down 8-2 as they come to bat in the ninth.
All right, Will Crow is in the game for the Pirates for some mop-up duty.
You can see his 54th appearance, having a good year.
Came to Pittsburgh when the Pirates traded Josh Bell to Washington 2 winters ago. Daniel Vogelbach will be the first man to face him. Vogelbach 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. That's been held to 2 runs and 7 hits. They scored 4 runs in the last 3 games against 2 last-place teams, the 2 teams with the worst records in the National League. And unless the Mets have a huge rally, this will be their 3rd 3-game losing streak of the year. It comes at a time when they can ill afford to lose many if they want to hang on to their division lead. Vogelbach takes a fastball up for ball 1. Tomorrow the Mets will have Jacob deGrom going in one game of the doubleheader, Chris Bassett going in the other. They'll be facing Grace Wilson.
JD, grade for Buck. I don't like what he's done the past week, but right now I give him a B. Only the fact that I think he's made a lot of good moves that I probably would go against him, and they worked. But clearly the Saturday and today's game just didn't make sense reliever-wise. Oh, look, Vogelbach hit a home run. Okay, maybe he did it.
There's the first out of the night. Tampa Bay has beaten Boston 8-4, so the Rays are now 4.5 behind.
Well, Michael, talent in the farm system doesn't mean nothing at this point, to be honest with you.
Yankees lead is shrinking. The Mets lead by the end of tonight could be down to nothing. Here's Marcana, who's 1 for 3 and a base hit back in the 4th. Mitch Keller stands to win this game. He was terrific. 6 scoreless innings.
So 1 out, 8-2 Pirates in the ninth.
And the bullpen has followed. Robert Stevenson gave up a 2-run homer to Nimmo, but then Manny Banuelos faced 4 and retired all 4 between the 7th and 8th. 3 on the left side against Cannon. He hits it right into the shift, and there's Cruz to sweep it up.
And 1 more out to end the misery of this game. Walker's been a problem for sure.
Tremendous arm, great bat speed, showed the power on the last
Vogel can't.
He's got it.
Well, Lion, you still didn't win it, right? You could say the Mets bullpen is inept, and that's why they won't win the World Series. But that's the same. Tim, no, it's not a collapse because the Mets are going to make the playoffs. It's not a collapse.
Not much time to regroup before a 12:35 first pitch tomorrow afternoon for a day-night doubleheader.
Ooh, nasty pitch. Jail, that's funny.
Braves and A's just starting in Oakland. Escobar takes that one down. 2 balls and a strike.
Look, I call Mets fans bandwagon fans. I call Braves fans bandwagon fans. Yankee fans, who are the biggest culprits of bandwagon fans. So don't get me wrong. I call out Mets fans as well, and I think a lot of you guys know that.
West Coast swing.
I mean, honestly, do you think the Braves are going to lose? No. They're not going to lose tonight. Come on. That would be too perfect. That's not happening. We all know that.
So he and his rookie catcher Jason DeLay trying to figure it out. What the heck, man? It's not bad enough. Come on. That was a pretty good right there. It's a 2-1 coming.
And 2-2.
That's it down to their final strike. Two Escobar off the corner with a fastball.
Oh, the umpire should have gave it to him.
McCann would be next. And that's inside ball 4.
And we're still alive with a walk.
To keep this game alive. The best part about that exchange is that it gives McCann another at bat to try to enhance.
Yeah, Steven, that's not always the case, though.
Together. The best that he's looked at the plate.
I mean, the Dodgers' run differential is absolutely insane, but the Mets beat them, so it's kind of – it doesn't matter until you face that play in the game. It's just the way it goes.
Itself would be a nice feat.
Well, McCann will hit a home run here.
2 out. And McCann chases a slider for strike 1. Get your rest, Keith. Of course. Get a pack. Oh, that's easy. You got 2 games. I'll do it tonight. Fly to Miami. Time we have that 10 minutes from now.
Woo! McCann swinging at those sliders.
Well, there's an old saying in this business: sleep fast. That's what you have to sleep fast.
Football is back.
Big games coming up tomorrow. Preparing to raise the Jolly Roger. Park. Hard. 0-2 to James McCann. That's 2 high.
Well, Ryan, it's kind of funny you say that because the Dodgers actually set up their left-handers for the Mets series. So the Dodgers started bench players now. But if you would have won, it would have been like, oh, the Mets suck. Come on. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, Ryan, I get it. Ralph, have a good night, buddy.
1-8-2. 8. You just dropped a beat on him? Wow. That was working with Kruko. 1-2 coming. And McCann takes that one low. So Will Crow having trouble putting this game to bed.
Yeah, but JD, that's no excuse to lose, though. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, that's funny because why were the Dodgers setting up all lefties against the Mets? Because they know the Mets can't hit lefties, right? That's why they did that. So I don't want to hear – that's excuses. Stop it. I hate when people talk about that.
2-2 to McCann. And that's low. So, 13 more walks, and that's might be in business. They need a 6-run home run. Not yet. Keep getting those base on balls. But, what Weaver called
Mendoza line is sexy to McCann. That's why he likes it.
to smoke a full pack during the 9th inning with Stanhouse was on the mound. Well, you can do that with Will Crowe. Just takes it.
6-1 home run. DeGrom and Bassett. Who knows who's starting the first game or the second game? Not sure.
3-2 to McCann. Escobar will be running. And McCann jumps one foul.
I love how the Mets are putting good at bat together now. Like, oh, thanks. What happened 5 innings ago?
Nothing else. The Mets are building up Crew's pitch count. Maybe make him less available for tomorrow. 2 games on the docket.
I agree, Ryan, but you still lost the game. So, again, it's you don't play 5 innings. You play 9. I think people forget that.
So that's a 2-man off.
Alien, good luck. Like it's the same thing when people talk about middle relief for the Mets, but yet the middle relief stopped the Dodgers, and now everybody's gonna say the Dodgers sat people, but the Dodgers set up left-handers specifically for the Mets series, and Dave Roberts said he did that. So if you're not trying to win, so you lose the series, now you're saving everybody for the October. So you're cruising into October for a team that won a pandemic World Series and can't win over and over again. Hey, the game's over. Thank God. Put it in the books for the Pirates. The Mets, by tonight, could be tied with the Atlanta Braves for first place. All will be watching a game that I won. I got to go to sleep. I'm tired. I'm not going to lie. West Coast baseball is not my cup of tea. I tell you that much. Most of the time I'm working, so that's probably the reason why. But Mets lose 8-2. Mets offense has been absolutely terrible for about 13 days now. 2 weeks, we'll call it that. Walker didn't have a good start. 5 innings, 4 runs, terrible. Okay. And Adonis Medina got the save against the Dodgers in LA. Let that sink in. I don't understand. Nah, Manuel, if you know me, I'm not that type of person. So if Jake Reed can get a save against the Mets and Adonis Medina get a save against the Mets, well, it's kind of even, isn't it? So the Mets got to move on to tomorrow and take care of business. It's very simple. The Mets had their division in their hands, in their own destiny. They let the Braves come back. It's very simple. Is it a collapse? No. Have the Braves played better? They played more than better. They played great. And when you have a great team chasing you, you got to play great. You can't play mediocre because the Braves will catch your ass. Exactly what they're going to do tonight against Oakland. They're probably going to win about 10-0, 3-0, 15-0 probably. And they'll be tied by tonight. And what the Mets got to do is win these next 2 games tomorrow and continue to play baseball. It's just that simple. Mets have been terrible for 2 weeks. And they got to get it going. It's very simple. So once again, guys, the Mets lose 8-2. Mets lost 3 in a row for the 3rd time this year. Mets got to get back on track. It's very simple. And the Mets are a team that could do it, but they got to play better than they originally are doing. It's just that simple. So the Mets lose 8-2. The Mets probably already are going to be tied for the division because the Braves are winning 3-0 as it just popped up on the screen. So let's see what happens tomorrow with the Mets and the Pirates with the doubleheader, DeGrom and Bassett on the mound, and see what happens. And the Mets are going to make the playoffs either way. The Braves are going to make the playoffs either way. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The Mets got to take care of business. They haven't the last 3 nights. They haven't the last 2 weeks. Got to do what they got to do. So we will see tomorrow. I'll see for game 1. I'm not sure about game 2 because of work. So I will be doing game 1 tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. I think the game starts at 1:35 if I'm not mistaken. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a good night. Let's go Mets. See you next time. Mets got to pick it up. Braves are winning 3-0. Not shocking. See you next time. Have a good night. Let's go Mets. Have a good night, guys.